Hello, hello, hello. I'm trying to stream on Twitch as well, but I can't seem to get that up for some reason. That stinks. Anyways, doesn't seem like I'll be streaming on Twitch. Why? I don't understand why Twitch never works. I am live on YouTube, right? 13 people watching. Get a thumbs up if you see me here on YouTube. Thumbs up in the chat. Hey, Rich here. How are you? Yes, you are not that Rich. You're now. Yes, you're not that guy. All right, everybody says I'm live on YouTube. Okay, cool. I'm looking good. Oh, thank you. I appreciate that. Let me see if I can get this Twitch up. Give me a second. Hello, John Cole. Wow, a lot of people in the chat. It's good to see everybody. All right, Twitch my stream. Let's reset this. Copy. Nice hair. Oh, thanks. What would be the Twitch URL? Just the URL of my channel? Probably, right? Let's try that. My question regarding about filing taxes. I got my taxes in already, so I'm good. We've been missing the after show. I know. Don't worry. Everything will be explained soon. Okay, so it's connecting to Twitch. Still says connecting. My goat Sammy is back. I'm your goat. I appreciate that. Wow, 34 people watching. Wow, I'm kind of shocked. Error. All right, Twitch isn't working today. Sick. All right, let me focus on the chat for a second. All right, let's see who's here. Trey says, you're going to tell us how you became the Prince of a town called Bel Air. I was playing on that. If you didn't catch that, I was playing on Prince of Bel Air. You know, that's the kind of show I grew up with. So yes, I was playing on that. Ice Cream says, what happened? All right, I'll get into that. Tamara, Jason, Trace, Patty, Yenny, Opal, Sia, Rich, In Your Face New Yorker, Rebecca, John Cole, Ice Cream, Cohen Prinz. Hello from Chicago, Tamara. Have I found a job? No, not yet. Can you do the Carlton? How's that? All right. If you saw my dad's show, I don't know, last week, you probably already know sort of this story, but a lot has changed in my life very quickly. For the good, for the bad, I don't know yet. Let's see, where do I start? I used to work for the Federal Aviation Administration. I worked in their public affairs department, and I liked it. And I was stationed in Los Angeles because that's where I wanted to move. About a year and a half ago, I was really wanting to move to Los Angeles, so they had an opening there, so I went. When Trump won, that pretty much changed everything for me personally. The first sort of domino, there was a bunch of dominoes that fell. The first domino that sort of fell was Trump ordering us back into the office 9 to 5, 5 days a week. And I was living far away from the nearest FAA headquarters. It would have caused me to stop the podcast with my dad, stop my own streaming. I also just, at the time, I just really didn't want to work for this administration. Maybe that sounds partisan. And it is, I guess, to some extent. I mean, I would work for a Republican. It's not that I wouldn't work for a Republican. It just I didn't want to work for this administration. So at first I thought I was going to try to, I don't know if I want to go there. I'm trying to figure out what to do. Should I leave the FAA? Should I stay at the FAA? What should I do? Then they send out this fork in the road email. I'm not sure if anybody saw it, but they sent out this fork in the road email essentially saying, hey, we want as many people to quit as possible. If you want to leave, we'll pay you till September 30th. And it kind of seemed like my best option. What's up, Abe? It kind of seemed like my best option. Get paid, leave, be able to continue my YouTube journey, etc., etc. I also thought in that process, well, if I'm going to focus on YouTube full time, do they actually pay you though? So far they have. So far I am still getting paid. I haven't missed a payment yet, so that's the good news. And my insurance still works, so that's good too. So essentially I thought, well, if I'm going to be working on YouTube full time, especially on my dad's show, I should move back to DC. There's not a big reason for me to be in LA. I like LA, but again, if I'm going to work on my dad's show full time, it'd be better if I'm in person. What made me want to work at the FAA? That's another story. I'll tell that story in a second. So I quickly got all my things, shipped them back to DC, had a place lined up. I thought it was the right decision. There were a few moments there where I felt maybe I was making the wrong decision, like maybe I should stay in LA longer, but the logic always brought me back to no, go back to DC. So I moved very quickly. You can ask my roommate. I just felt like if I'm going to do it, I might as well just do it, get back to DC and start working, you know? And I got back here and like, I don't know, 10 minutes into my Uber ride out of Dulles, I started feeling like, did I make a mistake? Did I just make a massive mistake? And for the first few days I was here, you know, it was just great seeing my parents and my old friends, and it didn't really bother me that much, but it was kind of in the back of my mind like, I'm just not really feeling it here in DC. I was really enjoying my life in LA. I was just kind of feeling like, oh, my mom wants me to send her the link to this live. Hold on one second. Okay, I sent it. I just was feeling like I felt like maybe I was going backwards. You know, I'm back in my hometown. I had sort of wanted to get out, and I just was feeling all kind of different ways. And I had a place lined up with a really good friend of mine, and I was at my parents' house for like 2 days, and I was like, I gotta get out of here. I gotta get to my, you know, my own place, my own spot. And I go there, and the first day I was there, like scoping things out, I was feeling a little itchy because my friend has a Siberian Husky. And it sort of I kind of forgot this. I was like, oh, right, I might be allergic to his dog. But I kind of was like, maybe I'll push through it. So the first night I'm there, I wake up and I'm just like itching head to toe. And I'm like, oh my God, this is not good. And I was like, let me give it one more night, gave it one more night. And I was just itching head to toe. I was so allergic to this dog. My eyes were itching. You know, people say you can push through it, but I don't know. It just didn't feel right. So I had to get out of that situation quickly. Luckily, my friend was very understanding, and they had an open room. They weren't even looking for anyone to fill it. I kind of was like, I'll fill it. And they're like, oh, okay. So it's not like I took the room from somebody, but so that housing situation didn't end up working. And then that's when I started feeling like, oh crap, now what? And, I didn't have a place to live. I didn't have stability. I didn't have a job. And I started really feeling like deep regret and deep, like I had made a massive mistake. I almost even went back to LA, to be honest with you, like right away, like within a week or two, but I didn't in the end. So as of now, and because of all this flux, I just haven't had a chance to stream, basically, and just trying to figure out my life and get a new job and just dealing with day-to-day stuff. I just haven't gotten around to it. In fact, I wanted to start streaming earlier today, but I just didn't get around to it. But I'm live. And I'm happy to be live because actually I like streaming a lot, and streaming makes me happy. And it feels like I'm, even though we're not really hanging out, I feel like I have this digital family that I hang out with, right? So my dad's stream, right? At first we were streaming in the living room, and I couldn't do like streams like I do from the living room, right? It would get into my parents' way if I was streaming from their living room. Then we were doing my dad's office. Also, he works there. I can't stream from there. So I had to figure out a new place to stream. I finally have this place here. It's a new place to stream. Thank you, Abe. Abe says, we're always here for you, man. I appreciate that. So there's a lot of reasons why I haven't been here. I didn't have a place to stream. Didn't have a place to live. I was sort of in this existential crisis of, should I stay in DC? Should I go back to LA? I was trying to find a job. And that's why I haven't been streaming. But at least I now have a space to stream. So my goal is to stream again. And that's why I'm here. And hello, Terry Roberts. Good to see you. Come to Philly? I don't know about Philly. Pam says, I feel your discomfort. Transition is not easy. That is true. Yeah. Transition is not easy. And I'm not the best with transitions. And I don't know. Now, like looking back, it feels like I made like all the wrong decisions. Like I should have tried to stay. I think I should have tried to stay with the FAA maybe. Tried to figure out maybe how I could make everything work with the show and my job. Maybe worked a little bit harder on that. I don't know. There's still a lot of open questions. Like, right now I'm still kind of in flux, and, maybe I'll go back to LA in a few months. Maybe I won't. I don't know. So that's basically the story of what's been happening with me and why I haven't been streaming as much. RG says any decision can be second guessed. I agree with that. And that was part of my issue, is that, every decision seemed like it made sense in its own way. Pam says, I'm almost 83 years old. Wow. You and your dad have a good thing going. That's true. The issue is, though, like, my dad's channel is not performing great right now. That's another issue, is like, Pam says, life is a process. Yes, you're right. And yeah, hindsight is 2020. Of course. I agree with that. Yeah. I'm trying not to beat myself up too much about it because like you're all saying, hindsight's 2020. It's got to be a process. But that's another issue, is like my dad's channel is not performing as well as I thought it would be. And I'm not really sure how to make it perform better. No way. Ollie just gifted 20 memberships. Are you kidding, Ollie? Thank you so much. Holy cow. That's amazing. Wow. Ollie. When you don't know what to do, pause, don't do anything. Yeah, that's sort of the process I'm taking right now. It's like I came here and then I kind of felt like I regretted it, and I missed LA and I want to go back, and I was kind of like, I need to go right back. But I feel like, God, Ollie, you are incredible. Thank you so much. Yeah, it just felt sort of, my parents kept calling it ping ponging. They're like, that's crazy. You can't ping pong across the country. And I was like, yeah, that's probably right. So right now I'm just sort of, I am just sort of here. bring on some guests. Their people will be introduced to the channel. It's the best way to grow. Yeah, but we've brought on guests on my dad's channel, and they've done, like, those shows have done really poorly. And it's just a lot of time and effort it takes, like, to reach out to guests. Then if they respond, even if, then to get them to respond. And if they respond, then to book them. And then once they're booked, we have to find the right time and the right schedule based on me, my dad, the guest. We just don't have the resources to do that, Pam says, you are on your path. It's a series of stepping stones. There are no accidents. Thank you, Pam. I agree with that. Well, that's very nice advice. Whoever Ollie is, I don't think I've seen you in the chat before, Ollie. Thank you so much for the 20 gifted memberships. That's incredible. Jason says, I've been there with my show. It takes time. Yeah, no, for sure. It's just that, like, obviously, like, leading up to the election, we were doing so well, and we've just taken big hits. Maybe if you guys stop blocking people from your Discord for their dissenting opinion, that would help your guys' channel. I really don't have any control over the Discord. Somebody external runs that. I certainly don't want to see people blocked for dissenting opinions. So whoever's modding the Discord, if you hear this, try to be more lenient. Kuya says, your guys' show is awesome. I love it. Please keep it up. No, we're going to keep it up. Definitely. It's just not doing well enough to, like, sustain my life right now, Sam, didn't you work for the FAA? I thought you work in the entertainment industry. I'm sorry, are you a pilot? I went to LA to explore working in the entertainment industry. I have worked in film and media on and off for, since college, basically. And how did I start work? I'm not a pilot. I actually sort of fell into the FAA job. When was this? 2021. Okay, here's another long story. Once upon a time, I went to law school for a week. About a year before my start date, my girlfriend at the time said, look, you have a year. I was just going to chill and hang out and do whatever until my law school started, right? My girlfriend at the time was like, no, you gotta, like, there's a year, you gotta make some money, you gotta do stuff, you can't just do nothing for a year. And I was like, okay. And sort of to kind of just make her happy, honestly, I didn't even really want to do it. I just started applying to jobs on Indeed. And I just applied to this random, so, like, my undergrad degree is in communications. Most of, like, my professional stuff is in, like, communications and media and public affairs and all that jazz. So I just applied to this job that just said government. I was in DC at the time, government contractor, looking for communications expert. I was like, okay, whatever. I applied, and, like, they, like, messaged me back, like, instantly. I just got a New York Times about the Trump group chat. We'll discuss that in a second. So they messaged me back instantly. They're like, let's set up an interview. And I was like, okay, cool. And started interviewing with this company. And they're like, and I didn't even know, who they were contracted for, nothing. And in the middle of the first interview, they're like, oh yeah, by the way, this contract was with the FAA. Do you know anything about aviation or aerospace or anything like that? And I was like, not really. And they were like, it's fine. And I was like, okay. And I just really hit it off with the woman who ended up becoming my boss, and they hired me. And at first I was in, like, their creative services department. So I was, like, in the office of communications at the FAA and in a sub-department called creative services. And I was doing sort of video production, editing, speech writing, script writing, stuff like that. And I really wanted to move to LA to sort of explore LA and explore a possible career in entertainment. And I told my boss at the time, I was like, hey, like, I'm interested in moving to LA. I want to keep this job. I love this job. Is it possible that I can keep this job and do it in LA? And at first she was like, yeah, maybe, like, we'll explore it. And then kind of like weeks went by, months went by, and I checked in with her. And was the commute good to the FAA? I worked from home for 3 years. Why do you have to leave the chat, Pam? And so weeks went by, months went by, and then she was like, yeah, and I checked in with her and she was like, yeah, it's not going to work. You can't do this job from LA. And I was kind of like, crap. And then like 2 weeks later, she hit me up and she said the media relations department, also under the aviation office communications, is looking for someone specifically to be on the West Coast because they answer media queries like from 9 a.m. Eastern to 9 p.m. Eastern. And if someone's on the West Coast, they only have to work till 6 and not 9. And so I was like, sign me up, I'll do it. So I took that job, and yeah, it all just kind of flowed. It just like kind of all happened. And I liked my job in creative services more than I liked probably my job in public affairs and media relations, but it was still a great job. And I think that's also why I'm like second guessing myself a little bit, because I was like, God damn, that was such a good job. And it just poof, vanished. And, you know, I was going to say, and I just let it go. It wasn't me. I was put in a hard position. And recently I've been getting a little bit more angry about it. Pam says, I have long COVID and need to rest. Okay, rest up. Yenny says, just look at how many people you guys had on election night. Don't lose hope, Sam. I love listening to Professor Lichtman. Life has its ups and downs. It's totally normal. You're right. You're totally right. California is a very challenging place to live on many levels, especially LA. Right. And that's why it felt like the most logical. My mom says your job vanished because of Trump. Let's be clear. Yes. If Trump wasn't president, none of this would have happened. That is true. Yeah, LA is a very challenging place to live on many levels. And that's why it seemed like the most logical decision at the time, because, I mean, we had just gone through these massive wildfires. The cost of living is crazy. Earthquakes. Yeah, that's part of the reason why I left, is because I thought on paper it just didn't make a whole lot of sense. The issue is that I guess it's not always about what's happening on paper, you know? I enjoyed my life in LA, and I think also part of it is I'm mourning my life in LA right now a little bit too, because it was a good life that I was living, and it just poofed. It was gone. Why not run for a state or federal office? I'm just not interested in being in politics. My sister is a location manager in LA with 35 years of experience, and she's struggling to find jobs. It's an issue. She's working commercials. Her last show was On Call, Amazon, last year. Yeah, there is no doubt that Hollywood and traditional media is struggling in Los Angeles right now. There's no doubt about that. Again, another reason why I was like, doesn't make a whole lot of sense for me to stay. But, you know, if I could do something else, maybe even YouTube full time and be in Los Angeles, I think I would like that. I don't know. I'm not saying I'm not going to stay in DC, and DC makes a lot more sense on paper, but I think I just enjoy living in LA more. I like the weather. I like the hiking. I like the beaches. I just like the more laid back lifestyle. I don't know. I got to figure it out. In Your Face, New Yorker says, I'm 44 and have had nothing but entry-level jobs since the moment I've graduated in 2003 in any field. And now I apply to jobs I don't get past the AI because it does the math about my age. Yeah, that's tough. Yeah, I hear that. The job, and that's why I'm like, God damn it, why did I let this job go? You know, because the job market right now is just tough. Golden Owl says, "Go, Sammy, go. We are all growing up." That's true. Where in LA did I live? I'm probably not going to say that, just to be safe. But yeah, that's where I'm at right now. But at least I have a space to stream as of right this moment. And you just answered your own question. What was that? At least you have a great support system. Yes, that's true. Valley, West Side. I was in the Valley. Jason says, when I moved back to the East Coast from SoCal, it was a tough adjustment. Took some time. Yeah, that's what a lot of people are telling me too. Would you ever consider moving to North Carolina? NYC? I lived in New York City in 2014, 2015. I didn't love it. So, like, if some amazing opportunity presented itself in New York, I wouldn't turn it down. But I don't think I would just pull myself up from my bootstraps and move to New York City. I don't know. I prefer LA. Again, I prefer the weather, the more laid-back lifestyle, the beaches. Why not team up with something like Midas Touch? We tried to do that when the election was happening, and they were just asking for too much from my dad, so we turned it down. When he says, you love LA, you want to be there, that's what it sounds like. That's what I meant. Yeah, maybe. Have I been job searching? Yes. What about San Francisco? Nah. Too expensive. Even though the Hollywood industry is struggling in LA, it's still the entertainment and media capital of the world, There's still a lot to be had in media in LA. You can't pull back that DFR agreement. I don't know. I've had these moments where I was like, should I text my boss and be like, can I come back? But it doesn't really solve any of my problems then. Then I'd have to go back to LA, commute to the office. It would still compromise all the YouTube stuff I was doing. So what about Seattle? I don't think so. I think living in LA and then coming back here made me realize like how much I like living in warm weather climates. It was funny though, when I was leaving the West Coast, I was thinking to myself, like, this is why it's so confusing too. When I was leaving the West Coast, I was thinking to myself, LA is overrated, the West Coast is overrated. But as soon as I got back, I was like, wait, maybe not. I don't know. No place is perfect, right? And maybe I was holding LA up too high. I was like, to live here, it has to be perfect, or else there's no point in living here. Origins and Tall Tale says, ugh, I had the chance to move to the desert, and I question that because of severe weather season. Yeah, I don't know if I'd live in the desert because it just gets so hot. Even the valley in the summertime got really hot. Are those communication related materials geared towards the public or internal? Do you mean the work I was doing? I was doing both internal and external stuff. Maybe it'll just take some time to adjust to being in DC again. I'm sure you'll find things you like about it. I definitely understand wanting to be somewhere warm though. Yeah, I don't know. Again, I'm not gonna think about it too hard right now. I'm not gonna make an instant decision, But anyways, take your time, says Pam. You can spend the winters in LA. That's true. Honolulu, that's too far. I missed the start. What happened? You have to go back. I can't rehash it all. It was quite a long story. But here, okay, where I am now. I would like to explore streaming on my own channel and explore growing my own channel. You know, it's not going to be politics all the time. It's not going to be gaming. I want to be sort of diverse in the content I produce here. There'll be politics, there'll be gaming, there'll be sports. It's, so I hope you guys will be along for that ride. The whole political situation right now is sort of, it feels so crazy. I don't even know how to react to it sometimes. And there are a lot of good, smart people talking about what's happening. I don't know how much nuance, and I don't know how much I can add to this discussion. Of course, I can add my own opinion. I like, people who have been on my streams before. I like doing a lot of research on certain topics. I'll still do that. But I also kind of feel like I don't really know what to say about a lot of it. So that's why I want to keep it a little bit more diverse than my dad's channel. Obviously, my dad's channel is just strictly politics. Kuya says, I'm here for all of it, Sam. Would be cool to get your takes on sports and games. Heck yeah. Pam says the right answer will appear. I think you're right, Pam. I think you're right. Rebecca says, democracy now, ? Like what do you mean by that? The Democracy Now, the news organization? What about it? Anyways, it's going to be a diverse potpourri of things on my channel. I would actually like to be streaming during the day. This is a little late, actually. I think like moving forward, I would love to be streaming like noon to 5. What do people think about that? Thumbs up if you like daytime streaming, thumbs down if you don't. And if you have good ideas for, what a good schedule might be to stream, let me know. You can just put it in the chat. Okay, we got... All right, people seem to be mostly cool with daytime streams. As of right now, I just need something to do during the day, so... Have you tried using AI with your creative work? A little bit, yeah. Like more as like a brainstorming tool. Like I've never asked it to like write a script for me, but sometimes like if I need help with certain like plot points or like what should be the inciting incident of the story, or like I need help on the climax, like it can help with that. I think AI is great, and I use it as a tool. I think one of the big mistakes that the writers and the actors did in the Hollywood agreements was that they treated AI like the Black Plague. They were like, no AI, no questions, none. And it's like, we should be using AI as a tool. It makes things a lot easier, a lot cheaper, more streamlined. Again, I don't think it should, like, a studio should be able to just type an idea into ChatGPT and get a script from it. But why can't actors use ChatGPT for like dialect, research, or writers use it for plot point or narrative structure, right? What time is it where I am? I'm on the East Coast now, so it's 5:56 p.m. Heather, thank you. I got 86 people watching. I'm pretty stoked about that. And 60 likes. Wow, thank you guys. I really appreciate that. So, bear with me. I might not be the most consistent right out the gate. Again, I'm still looking for jobs, and that might take up some time, or et cetera, et cetera. But my plan now is to be a daytime during the day streamer, and then you guys can tune into my dad's show on Tuesday and Thursday nights. That's my plan for now. But with that said, official nomad says, I feel you, Sam. I'm in the same situation. I had recently left my job and kept job searching and found nothing. To the point that my old job again, I'm trying to save up and move to LA. Look for jobs on stream. Daytime, nighttime stream or watch. Thank you, Heather. Susan says, hi all, thanks for all you do. Well, thanks for watching. Knicks NBA Finals chances. They've got a shot. I mean, I still don't think anybody's better than the Celtics in the East. But if they're at full strength, no injuries, and they're in Eastern Conference Finals against Boston, I give them like a 35% chance to win that series. Why is my battery saver on? Hold on. Wait 1 second. It said that my battery is not plugged in, but it should be. All right. I don't know why it said it wasn't plugged in. That's weird. No, it should be plugged in. Okay. Do I watch F1? Not really. But I watched Drive to Survive, the show. I like the show more than the sport itself. In Your Face, New York says, it sucks because my parents have had to supplement my income since graduation. Embarrassing for someone in their 40s not to be able to make enough money to survive. I don't think it's embarrassing at all. Look, every human on earth faces the ups and downs of trying to live a normal life. Me, you, everybody. So don't be embarrassed. Okay. Wow, thank you, Heather, for your donation. In Your Face, New York, I also have a master's degree. I have a master's degree as well, and I have no job right now. So it happens. There's this, has anybody watched the show Hung on HBO? It's like probably a HBO show from like 2008 or something like that. I used to love that show, but there's this scene where the main female protagonist, I forgot her name, is getting into business with the main character, Hung, the guy who's Hung, to be his pimp. She's going to be his pimp. And she's meeting with a friend of hers discussing, like, I don't know, business, and her friend is like, you know nothing about business. And she goes, I have an MFA, Lenore, or something like that. And that's kind of like the story of my life. I always think about that. I'm always like, I have an MFA, okay? And it's like, yeah, it doesn't help you much. Let me see if I can find that. Does anybody know what I'm talking about? Give me a thumbs up if you know what I'm talking about. The show Hung. Hope I don't get like in trouble for playing this show. I'm not going to play the music just because music is often copyrighted. It takes place in Detroit. That's Detroit. Anybody remember this? Oh, my mom says Teabag is the main woman's character's name. If you haven't seen this show, this is a very underrated show. I used to like this show a lot. Probably if I was playing the music, people would. Hung Teabag. I don't think her name is Teabag. It's her. Tanya Skaggy, is that her name in the show? Or is that her real name? I wonder what happened to this guy. I haven't seen him in a while. Oh, he's in Trupo, whatever that is. No, he's still in stuff. He's still acting currently. Let me see if I can find this exact scene that I'm talking about. It's with this woman when she says it, but I don't think this is the scene.
Wait, what's going on?
Meeting's over. You missed it.
What do you mean the meeting's over? You said 5.
I said 4.
Lenore, I know you said 5. I'm not your intern.
Ray and I were both there at 4. So clearly you're the one that was wrong. What is that?
What?
Let me see that.
No.
Let me see it.
What? It's a sweater. I was cold.
Where did you get it?
What? It's none of your business. I got it from a friend. Gave it to me for Christmas.
That's a Lanvin sweater, Tanya. Do you even know what a Lanvin is?
Yeah, I know. Of course I know what a Lanvin is.
Then you know you can't afford it. And neither can any of your friends.
You don't know who my friends are. Really. And Frances can afford it. That's right. That Frances.
Frances give you a Lanvin sweater?
Yes, she did. She gave it to me when I went over to her house to talk business. I found her address and I went over there and I brought lyric croissants and I took a chance and I saw this look in her eye and I think...
I don't think this is it. I have an MFA.
Hey, Don. So, do you have any luck with this?
Yeah, I went on my first thing today.
Can't hear that.
Paid to play hardball.
What are you gonna do, T-Brain? Write a mean poem about me?
Fuck you. Bang, bang, bang! Motherfucker!
I like this show. Alright, I'm spending too much time on this. But if you're feeling like in a bit of an existential crisis, is an interesting show to watch because kind of both of them, his character and her character, are both kind of in a midlife existential crisis. But anyways, there is something that happened very recently. Trump's group chat got leaked. And I saw this when I was walking in and wanted to check it out. Here it is from the Atlantic. The Trump administration accidentally texted me its war plans. Okay, let's see what this is all about. What group chat? I don't know. I guess we're about to find out. Someone texted me about this right when I was about to stream, that some group chat among Trump officials got leaked. The world found out shortly before 2 p.m. Eastern on March 15th that the United States was bombing Houthi targets across Yemen. I, however, knew 2 hours before the bombs exploded. The reason I knew is that Pete Hegseth, the Secretary of Defense, had texted me the war plans at 11:44 a.m. The plan included precise information, etc., etc. Oh, my God. I have to sign in to read this. Okay. Top national security officials for President Donald Trump, including his Secretary of Defense, texted war plans to a group chat in a secure messaging app that included the editor-in-chief of The Atlantic. The magazine reported in a story they posted on Monday that... Okay, I get it. The National Security Council said that the text chain appears to be authentic. Trump told reporters he's not aware that sensitive information had been shared 2.5 hours after it was reported. The material in the text chain contained operational details of forthcoming strikes on Iran-backed Houthi rebels in Yemen, including information about targeted weapons the U.S. would be deploying and attacking. It was not immediately clear if the specifics of the military operations were classified, but they often are, and at least kept secure to protect service members. Right, that makes sense. Trump told reporters, I don't know anything about it. You're telling me about it for the first time. You know what's crazy is I actually believe him. Because he's so inept with technology, I actually believe that he doesn't actually know what this is. Government officials have used Signal for organizational correspondence, but it's not classified and can be hacked. Yeah, I mean, I'm pretty sure I have Signal on my phone. Let me check. Or at least I used to. No, I don't have Signal. What's the one with the little... Oh, I have Telegram. What's the difference between Signal and Telegram? If this is true, this story represents one of the most egregious failures of operational security and common sense I've ever seen, said Jack Reed of Rhode Island, the top Democrat on the Senate Armed Services Committee. And this is the guy, right, who's spent all of his campaign complaining about Hillary Clinton's emails, right? Yep, there we go. But her emails, yeah. Gotta love Pete Hegseth, man. Only under Pete Hegseth would something like this happen, right? This should be the biggest story for weeks and weeks and weeks, but sadly it will be forgotten, although I hope the former. No, it'll be forgotten. It'll definitely be forgotten.
Thank you very much, Tammy. Thank you very much, Tammy. I know the administration has always been concerned about operational security for military actions and others, things that are classified. There has been an unprecedented, to my experience, breach of operational security by a public dissemination on Signal of plans for the Houthi attacks and discussions about
Signal app. Does anybody have Signal? Do people use it? Do they like it?
those plans that included and it has been confirmed by the National Security Council. These included the editor-in-chief of The Atlantic, Jeffrey Goldberg, on this Signal chat over a course of several days. And we should note that Mr. Goldberg did not publicize any of the
Jeanette says, I have Signal. It's supposed to be more secure. I don't know. I mean, it's supposed to be secure to an extent. It's not like there's no way it's approved by the government for classified or wartime discussions. There's no way. No one will get fired over this. Here's the thing. No one who actually has any power will get fired over this. They often, blame some lower middleman or something, and they get the blame for it. Yenny, what would you say is the difference between Telegram and Signal? Or are they basically the same thing?
classified members, CIA people who were on this chat, nor any of the classified information on the ultimate day. 2 hours before the attacks took place, he thought he was being punked, that it was some sort of a trap. But eventually...
That's so funny. The reporter thought he was being punked. That's how stupid it was.
Notified the White House about this. And the White House has confirmed that it's authentic.
A Great Sound says, I do. It's good. I'd talk to family members who work at the DOJ. So you're saying the DOJ uses Signal as like an approved government communication? I guess it's possible. But there's no way it's approved for wartime operations. I don't know.
Secretary Rubio was part of all of these conversations. First of all, why was the cabinet secretaries and the National Security Cabinet discussing a potential military operation on Signal, which is a public app? And why didn't they notice a phone number that was not part of their group? And how concerned is the secretary about the implications of this?
Well, I have two very short things to say to you. First is that we will not comment on the secretary's deliberative conversations. And secondly, that you should contact the White House.
But in this regard...
That's funny. When the Trump administration started coming around, that's what we used to say at the FAA, like for certain questions, contact the White House. Signal is end-to-end encrypted, but it's not approved for government classified communication. Yeah, so it seems like it's, a fairly secure public app, but it's not, it shouldn't be used for government wartime communications. They broke all the rules. They have their own secured method of comm, right?
This was a very extensive series of...
It's not approved by the government for classified communication. So are they going to try to argue now that, this just wasn't really classified or something?
Conversations involving, a very extensive series of conversations involving, a very important military action. And the Secretary of State is the leader of foreign policy. Shouldn't he have an opinion about this?
Well, from this podium, I'm not going to comment, and never would I comment in any framework, the secretary's deliberative conversations in any regard.
But
all right.
Are you concerned?
Yes. I'll never comment about his conversations. But, if you got a Signal, send me your number. I'll forward it to you. The Atlantic goes into detail near the end, says sometimes government officials have used Signal for non-classified communications. Got it.
Senior national security correspondent Courtney Cubie. Courtney, the reaction on Capitol Hill has been pretty swift to this. The top Democrat on the Senate Armed Services Committee said that if the report is true, it represents, quote, one of the most egregious failures of operational security and common sense he's ever seen. From a security standpoint, what's your understanding of whether this is a violation of the law?
It absolutely is. If it in fact played out the way that...
There you go. That wasn't She didn't stutter. She said, it absolutely is.
It did. Now, here's the one caveat that we have. Jeffrey Goldberg, he withheld information that he was concerned would be classified and would involve sources, methods, operational planning, military movements and placement of military troops and assets and things. He withheld all of that. But if, in fact, the information is classified, as he says in this article, and it was transmitted on an unclassified system, in this case, a commercial system, then that would most likely break the law. Now, again, not knowing the exact content, it's hard for me to say with 100% certainty, but most likely it would. What we have to point out here is just how unbelievably uncommon this is for top national security officials to be not to be communicated on Signal. There could be planning a meeting. Hey, everyone, jump on this call, whatever it is. That could occur on Signal. But the actual transmission of information that could put U.S. troops' lives in danger and that could expose information about planning for an imminent military operation. Discussing that on an unclassified server is, I don't want to say unprecedented because we don't know what we don't know here, Aaron, but it is extremely uncommon.
And then there's a piece.
She's not holding any punches there, is she, folks? None at all. War plans against who? The Houthis in Yemen. Incompetent kids running the country. No, guys, it's only Trump only hires the best. Everybody knows that.
To this reporting that, assuming that these messages are real, that Vice President J.D. Vance appeared to be opposed to these strikes. Put that into some.
Technically, most of the people involved could unclassify their discussions. Right. That's like the whole Trump argument, right? It's like, I thought in my brain, I decided they were unclassified, so they're unclassified. They're going to do the same line of reasoning with this, right?
Perspective for us.
Yeah, and Aaron, that was another piece of this that's sort of getting lost in just how unbelievable this entire story is. And that is there was a little bit of an insight into the policy discussion that occurred behind these strikes. And it actually centered on Europe. Now, the Trump administration has not made any secret of the fact that they want to Europe needs to take more responsibility for their own defense. The U.S. clearly wants to pull back from their support of Europe. Much of the relationship is likely to be more transactional in nature going forward. President Trump has spoken about that. But in this case, Vice President J.D. Vance was talking about not carrying out these strikes against the Houthis right now because it could benefit Europe. And that is because much of the commercial maritime traffic, the shipping traffic that goes through that area that has been disrupted actually is either European or benefits European consumers more so than Americans. So that was an interesting little back and forth there.
I thought J.D. Vance hated Europe now.
And then Secretary Hegseth, if in fact that was him on the Signal chat, even called the Europeans pathetic in the fact that they don't step up more for their own defense and their own commerce.
Okay, never mind. He still hates the Europeans. Sorry.
This case. So that was an unusual insight into how this goes. But we did actually hear from Vice President Vance's spokesperson from his office about this incident, about this back and forth. And the VP, Vice President Vance, unequivocally supports this administration's foreign policy. A spokesperson said the president and vice president have had subsequent conversations about this matter and are in complete agreement. And that specifically is.
I don't mind. I mean, I think that's a good sign that J.D. Vance, at least behind closed doors, disagrees with certain things. I think that's healthy.
A reference, again, that appears to be Vice President Vance in this Signal chat saying that he thinks maybe the president doesn't even understand how these strikes on the Houthis are counter to his administration's own policies on Europe, Aaron.
One last thing to you.
No, that's a funny point. But Blazers, what's up?
Courtney here. Has there been a reaction from the pen?
Dan Strickler, is that my uncle? Or my grandfather?
Pentagon yet about these messages themselves that were sent from the account?
Did I have a chance to explore the entertainment industry while I was in LA, going back to the earlier discussion? Yeah, a little bit, and I didn't like it that much, to be honest.
That appears to be the Secretary of Defense's?
Not at all. We have had absolutely nothing from the Pentagon. We have tried. Secretary Hegseth took off this morning for a trip to the Asia Pacific. We've asked, sent questions for comment. So far, the best we've gotten is people are referring us to the National Security Council for a statement, but we have not heard anything out of the Pentagon on this.
Courtney Kube at the Pentagon for us today. Courtney, thank you. We appreciate it.
Thanks for watching.
I think what we watched before this was what the Pentagon said, which was nothing. Right? They think they can bring Europe down, but they are clueless. There are houses in Europe that are older than the USA. Okay, Rich, I see you, dog.
Just in, editor-in-chief of The Atlantic, Jeffrey Goldberg, says he was accidentally texted war plans.
Yeah, we literally just received this piece from The Atlantic, and in it, Goldberg writes, U.S. national security leaders included me in a group chat about upcoming military strikes in Yemen. I didn't think it could be real. Then the bombs started falling. CNN's Alex Marquardt joins us now live. And Alex, this piece came out literally in the last few minutes. I haven't been able to read through all of it, but this seems like something out of a farce, like out of a comedy.
It is just stunning on so many different levels. I understand why Goldberg didn't.
You know what this reminds me of? Speaking of HBO, another HBO show. What was that HBO show with Tim Robbins and Jack Black about like generals and national security? You know what I'm talking about? HBO show, Jack Black, Tim Robbins. It didn't last very long. The Brink. This all reminds me of this show, The Brink. It didn't last very long on HBO, but I kind of liked it. Yeah, it only had one season of 10 episodes. Anybody watched The Brink before?
What's going on in Pakistan? Smells like a coup d'etat. I need better information. Who do we have on the streets?
Rafiq! We're going on a mission. Boom. Nothing to worry about.
But these songs are definitely going to claim me. But has anybody seen this show? Just like kind of like a bunch of powerful people kind of figuring shit out as they go, making stupid mistakes about like really big foreign policy issues. Nobody's seen this? No one's seen it, huh? Anyways, I recommend it. Why was a woman's in the men's room? You gotta watch and find out, brother.
Believe it was real because it is just shocking in several different ways. Goldberg was added to a Signal chat with some of the most senior national security members of the Trump administration. Signal is a messaging app that is encrypted, probably why these officials thought that they could have a discreet conversation on there. But on it, in this chat that Goldberg was a witness to, they talk about the planning for the recent bombing of the Houthis that started on March 15th. They talk about current intelligence assessments. There's a full-on debate among these officials about whether they should carry out this bombing of the Houthis. And these are conversations that could be in violation of the Espionage Act. Now, this group was started, it looks like, by the National Security Advisor Mike Waltz, who called it the Houthi PC Small Group. PC refers to Principals Committee. The principals in the administration are the senior-most officials. And among that group of senior officials, you have the National Security Advisor, the Vice President, the Secretary of Defense and of State, the Director of National Intelligence, the CIA Director, Steve Witkoff, the Special Envoy, the Chief of Staff to President Trump, and the list goes on. There are 18 of them. So there's this debate over whether the U.S. should go through with this bombing of the Houthis. Vice President Vance is actually arguing against it, saying that just 3% of trade goes through the Red Sea, which is where the ships have been targeted by the Houthis.
Abe says, I just saw a comment on Instagram that said, this is such a Four Seasons landscaping moment. It's worse. They're both bad in their own, in different ways.
Ratcliffe, the CIA director, he chimes in with current intelligence assessments that may be related to intelligence operations that are ongoing. Goldberg does not print that because, of course, that, among so many other details in this, are so highly classified. Hegseth, the Secretary of Defense, he chimes in saying that waiting a few weeks or a month wouldn't fundamentally change the calculus. And he notes, interestingly, that if this leaks, we look indecisive. Of course, it would eventually leak. Now, keep in mind, as they're having this discussion, Goldberg is watching all of this unfold, and he doesn't know, again, whether it's real, but he would quickly learn that it was. On the morning of March 15th, which is the day the bombings began, Hegseth, the Secretary of Defense, posted a team update at 11:44 in the morning saying the bombings were about to start 2 hours later. And in that message to this large group, again, including Goldberg, he posted operational details about these strikes that were about to happen, information about targets, about weapons, and the attack sequencing.
Damn.
2 hours later, the strikes started.
That shit should not be on Signal, bro. I'm sorry. That shit should not be on Signal.
Goldberg looked up on Twitter, and he started to see explosions happening in Yemen, and that's when he knew it was true. And that's when these officials essentially started celebrating. You have John Ratcliffe, the CIA director, saying, a good start. Mike Waltz, this national security.
See, the big issue with this is that even if they say it's unclassified, but like when you're using a public app and you're talking about stuff like that, you could accidentally send it to anybody, right? The point of having a secure government line is that even if you accidentally send it to somebody, at least they're just still in the government. That's the whole point. He accidentally sent this to a reporter. A reporter would not have any access to any sort of government internal communications, right?
Advisor responds with several emojis.
Yo, what if Hegseth was drunk when he did it? Oh, that would be good. I don't mean to laugh at substance abuse issues, but for him, it would be a little funny, right?
As does Steve Witkoff, with two hands praying, a flexed bicep, and two American flags. So everyone approving of what just happened and celebrating. The National Security Council has not pushed back on this at all. They said that this chain was in fact real. Brian Hughes, the National Security Council spokesman.
What are your thoughts on Anonymous claiming they have evidence that Elon tampered with voting terminals in swing states? Is that true? I haven't heard anything about that, and I don't see anything in the news about it. I don't know how I feel about Anonymous. Seems like they're always talking a big game, and nothing really ever comes out from them that like really shakes the groundwork or really shakes the fabric of powerful people. You know what I mean? I saw something about Lisa McMahon on CNN that I wanted to watch because I'm sort of... How do you spell her name? Is it Lisa? Who's the...
My name is...
Linda McMahon.
Using the right...
I'm interested in this discussion of the education department.
Hectic week in Donald Trump's America, and the president watched the NCAA wrestling match last night. But front and center back here in Washington is the education.
Did he watch the basketball, March Madness? Think about that.
Of America's children. After President Trump.
Think about the racial breakdown of college wrestling versus college basketball. And which one did he choose? Just think about that.
Made good on a longtime conservative talking point and took major steps to shutter his own Department of Education. The president said some of the duties of the Education Department, like distributing funding for students with disabilities and managing student loans, would be handled by different departments. But there are urgent questions about how those changes would happen, how they would affect students who need the help, how any of it will help turn around learning for American kids. We'll hear with
Anonymous said that they were ones who hacked Twitter recently. Okay, so they brought down Twitter for a couple hours. Like, who cares? You know?
Me exclusively is the woman winding down her own department, Education Secretary Linda McMahon. Thank you so much for being here. I appreciate it. There's so many concerns and questions from parents about the real consequences of all of this. So let's talk about it. Hopefully we'll get some answers today. The president's executive order said that the Department of Education should begin to shutter. You all know, and you said this under oath, you can't do that without Congress changing the law. It doesn't seem like right now there are the votes to do that. So if you can't close it down, what exactly will the Education Department be doing now?
Well, I think, first of all, thanks, Dana, for having me this morning. It's nice to start a Sunday.
Dana? Isn't her name Dana?
With you.
Who's named Dana? What woman have you met named Dana? Maybe, I don't know.
I think
I've never heard a woman named Dana. Dana.
The president was very clear. The outward-facing programs that are going to be affecting students are, there's not going to be any defunding for those programs. When he talked about
come in the WWE style and what's the John Cena? Not her, just I'm saying generally just come in every time she talks they should play that across the screen.
Student loans that would be going to the Small Business Administration and also then the programs for students with disabilities will more than likely rest in HHS.
So all we're doing is just moving things to different departments. Great.
By the way, is where they began. I think we're looking at putting things in different departments where they can operate very efficiently.
What makes them operate more efficiently in other departments?
As we look at how we can shut down the Department of Education.
Do they not operate efficiently now?
Not as well as they should be. As a matter of fact, the president campaigned on the fact that he wanted to close down the Department of Education. And what we saw with our scores recently with the NAEP, which is our country's report card, I mean, it's unacceptable where education is in our country today. And so the Department of Education does not educate one child. It does not establish any curriculum in any states. It doesn't hire teachers. It doesn't establish programs.
So then why are you so worried about bringing it all back to the states? If it doesn't do any of those things, then what's the big hoopla about?
What it is more of a pass-through of funding, which is appropriated by Congress, by the way. And so we want to make sure that that funding continues in the departments where it needs to be, but at the same time, give states the opportunities to be innovative and creative with their teaching.
So you mentioned that.
Didn't she just say that the education department doesn't create curriculums and then said at the end that states need to create their own curriculums? Am I tripping? Did anybody else hear that? Let me go back.
I mean, it's unacceptable where education is in our country today. And so the Department of Education does not educate one child.
Okay, so they don't educate children.
It does not establish any curriculum in it.
Doesn't establish any curriculum in any state. And then at the end she says.
And so we want to make sure that that funding continues in the departments where it needs to be, but at the same time, give states the opportunities to be innovative and creative with their teaching.
Give states the opportunity to be innovative and creative with their teaching. Again, I'm not an education expert. I'm just trying to analyze what she's saying right now, because in one breath she said the education department doesn't educate one child, it doesn't create curriculums, but we need the states to be better with their teaching. That doesn't line up logically, does it? Am I tripping? Tell me. Thumbs up if you agree with me, thumbs down if you disagree.
So you mentioned that there are lots of data. There's lots of data that shows that, I think, to put it mildly, education could be better in America.
I don't think anybody disagrees with that.
Absolutely.
But you also just admitted, and it's just fact, that most of the funding, most of all of the curriculum, and everything that goes
Thank you,
into
Dana.
educating our students happens on a local level.
Okay, thank you. At least Dana caught on to that. I wasn't the only one.
So I'm not quite sure how eliminating the Department of Education is going to make those test scores go up.
Bingo.
A lot of the funding that goes into states now goes with a lot of red tape, a lot of strings attached to it. And so governors and state super.
A great sound says funding already mostly goes to red states. I think Mississippi gets the most federal dollars. Susan Clark says Republicans have been trying to destroy our education system for decades. They want an electorate that isn't smart enough. It's simple but expensive to have better education, smaller classes, and more schools, right? Why does a democratic country not have publicly funded democratic schooling? I'm not entirely sure what you mean by that. I don't necessarily think they want people stupid. They just want people to think more like how they want people to think. So like public schools are pretty open and free. They don't like that. Wow, thank you, RG, for becoming a member.
Superintendents of education have said, look, if we have the funding coming in which allows us to be more creative, how can we spend that? The president believes, as I do, that the best education is that's closest to the students. And I want to look at some of the states that have been incredibly great over the last couple of years, like Louisiana. Their NAEP score showed that they had improved the most of any states.
What's a NAEP score? Or is it this? See a state snapshot. What am I looking at here exactly? This is not very user friendly. Like, I don't know what I'm looking at exactly. And this is not a clickable map. All right, well, she keeps citing NAEP scores, but I can't even figure out what this all means. State results. They haven't released a report since 2019. Is that true? All right, I don't know what this is.
Programs that were put in place by the governors, by the superintendent of education.
A great sound says they want to privatize education. That is definitely true, for sure. I mean, they're not even trying to hide that. I mean, that's like a public stance of theirs. Louisiana is at the bottom of school rankings. Yeah, they always seem to use these like really poorly performing states as examples of like improvement. I don't know. How about let's end federal funding attached to test scores if they're wanting to rid of the department? That's an interesting point, James.
Having anything to do with the Department of Education in Washington. So what we need to do is to make sure that the funding has a clear path, the funding continues, but that the states are allowed to spend the money where they need to spend it, to hire teachers, increase their salaries, make sure that our students with special needs are taken care of. And that's what we want to make sure that happens.
I just want to ask a sort of a fundamental philosophical.
Hey Sam, can you explain the stream title? You have to watch the beginning again, brother. I can't go back through it.
Question, and that is, do you believe that the federal government has a responsibility to ensure that all children, rural children, urban, rich, poor, special needs, have access to quality education?
That is certainly the goal of the president. He has said that he wants to make sure that there is equal access to quality education for every student in our country, which is why he is such a proponent of school choice. He doesn't believe that any child should be trapped in a family.
See, that school choice stuff, that's the privatization of education right there. A while ago, I tried to look up school choice, and it is a little confusing, honestly.
School, that we should have parents have the ability to choose where their children can be able to go to school, so that if they are in a failing school, they have an opportunity to have better education somewhere else, that they have the tools to be able to do that.
But if I may, it's a goal of the president, but is it a federal responsibility to ensure that every child in America has access to a good education?
I think that was the purpose of public education when we first began it in our country. And I think that the federal government, state governments, we owe it to all of our children. After all, that's the next generation of our engineers, our scientists, our quantum mathematicians, but also our welders, our plumbers, our HVACs, our welders, all of that. We have to make sure that there's educational opportunity available to every single student so they can be the best they can be. That's how we compete in the world.
You mentioned students with disabilities. Of course, currently, your department.
Nan B says they don't care about science. I was going to say something when she was talking about scientists and quantum mathematics. I was like, that's really on your agenda, more scientists? Last I heard, Trump was firing scientists at NIH. Thank you, Monica.
Enforces the Individuals with Disabilities Education Act, which does guarantee, it's a federal guarantee for free public education for children with disabilities. Can you guarantee to those parents and those students that there won't be any disruption with their education, the guarantees for their education?
I certainly hope. I would like to see even more funding go to the states for that. And if it rests with HHS, which is one of the suggestions, that funding clearly is going to continue to come from Congress. And we want to make sure that those students do have.
I just realized on my screen when I'm looking at it, it looks like I'm looking the opposite direction, but I'm actually looking at the screen. So I just switched my perspective.
That those special services and those needs which they have, which is really monitored and taken care of at the state level.
So it's funding, but I'm not hearing so far any federal promise from you, who is...
She ain't making no federal promises. No shot.
Still in charge of federal education policy and the laws passed by Congress that you are still in charge of to protect children who need it, that those protections are still going to be there and that they won't be disrupted.
They're not going to be disrupted. And it really does rest from the federal level on the funding. So the funding is appropriated by Congress. It flows through to the states. But am I, the Secretary of Education sitting in Washington, going to have a view into a schoolroom where a teacher is trying to take care of a student with special needs? Or is that going to happen better at the local level where that teacher, in cooperation with the parents and the
teacher cannot fund programs.
Local school officials has more opportunity to make sure that that student's needs are taken care of? That's where it needs to lie. But if they don't have the funding, if they don't have the support from Congress to continue to appropriate that money, then that's where the students can really, fall through the cracks.
Okay, so let's...
I agree with that.
you talk about funding. Let's focus on funding. There are a lot of Republicans, including many state officials, education officials in particular, who want you to change Title I grants for students in low-income or low-performing areas into what's known as block grants, which is just a lump sum of money with no strings attached. Now, there are some advocates, some experts who think that
we pretty much take it.
Damn ads.
Attach concept will mean that the money won't get to those who need it. It could end up with also larger class sizes, fewer after-school programs, fewer resources. How do you do a block? And first of all, I guess the question is, do you want to do that block grant?
That's one of the suggestions. And as I've talked to governors around the country, many governors, Governor Youngkin in Virginia, who said, clearly, I think that we have eyes on the education in our states. And if we have the funding that we know how to...
Oh, listening to this woman makes my brain sort of slowly drivel out of my ears. Like, she's saying a whole lot of nothing.
Controversy erupts this morning over...
I just clicked this because Usha Vance kind of interests me. She was on the thumbnail. I don't know why. Did she visit Greenland? Like, to me, she is the real life example of, like, the Get Out guy. Like, she's just trapped in this universe that she doesn't really want to be in, but she can't get out. Oh God, blessed. Why can't I zoom in on this picture? Okay, look at her eyes. Look at his. They both have that sort of dead stare. You know what I mean? James says, I don't know about her. She married J.D. Vance knowing full well who he is. I think he was different, though. He was different back then. He used to be a big Trump hater. She's definitely in the Get Out realm. No, well... Anyways.
For a planned U.S. visit to Greenland this week. It comes as President Trump has pushed to annex the autonomous Danish territory, saying he thinks the U.S. will get it one way or the other. Second Lady Usha Vance and National Security Advisor Mike Waltz are expected to be among the Americans visiting. The White House says Usha Vance will attend the island's national dog sled race and, quote, celebrate Greenlandic culture and unity.
Okay.
But Greenland's prime minister is slamming the visit, calling it, quote, highly aggressive and taking relations to the U.S. to a new low. Let's get right to the White House. CNN's Elena Trine is there. It's the second international.
So he just doesn't like Trump, or what? He doesn't like Trump saying we're going to own them?
Trip by the second lady, Elena, and it's an odd one.
She clerked for John Roberts. Is that true? I read J.D. Vance's book back when it first came out, and I liked it. Glad it was a library book. My mom had her own copy, but as soon as she learned he was a Trump supporter, she got rid of it.
It is, and I think it just is really putting a further spotlight on this administration's desires to try and purchase Greenland, despite, of course, we're hearing repeatedly now, several different times over from both the leaders of Greenland, but also Denmark, that Greenland is not for sale. And just
I thought Usha was a... Are you guys sure she clerked for... I thought she was a doctor. Oh, she's a lawyer. I could have sworn she was a doctor. Oh, maybe I'm getting her confused with Ramaswamy's wife, who was a doctor. Vance serves as a law clerk for Judge Amul Tapar. Okay, I don't know who that is. Eastern District of Kentucky. Judge, she worked for Brett Kavanaugh and John Roberts. Huh. Maybe I misread her. But she voted for 2014, voted for Democratic primaries and was a registered independent in 2017. But in 2022, she voted in the Republican primary because her husband was a candidate. See, that's where it's confusing to me. So she's been voting Dem her whole life. Then when her husband decides to become a Republican, she's a Republican. She clerked for conservative judges, but also practiced at a California law firm with progressive work culture. According to the New York Times, her political views seem to have changed over the years, as in 2021, she made a political contribution to national conservative Blake Masters. Interesting. Has anybody seen this movie? I heard it was terrible. I don't know. She's confusing to me, but she still looks like she's trapped in like a Get Out scenario. But maybe I'm wrong. You and your dad should interview Mr. Beat. That's not a bad idea. It's her mom who's the doctor.
Hello. I'm so excited to share that I'll be visiting Kalaalleq, Greenland, next weekend. I'm particularly
This is so funny. They have her voice here and it's about a Greenland trip.
thrilled to visit during our national dog sled race, which our country is proud to support as a sponsor.
Random. She confuses me a little bit. I think deep down she's stuck in a Get Out scenario. For some reason, both J.D. Vance's wife and Vivek's wife both seem like they're stuck in a Get Out type of situation. She doesn't have a wiki page? Yeah, she's an MD. Wasn't she the one they were like, your husband is like anti-vax, and she's like, yeah, I'm not. Is that her? I'm surprised she doesn't have a Wikipedia page. Man, all these people went to Yale, a bunch of smarties. Vivek's wife helped him do a pump and dump with stock that made them billionaires. I mean, she sounds like, Usha Vance sounds like AI there. That was honestly my first thought, is that this sounded like AI.
Hello.
Hello. See, like, that's the Get Out voice. Okay, I have to pretend like I want to be here. Okay, 3, 2, 1. Hello.
I'm so excited to share that I'll be visiting Kalaalleq, Greenland, next weekend. I'm particularly thrilled to visit during our national dog sled race, which our country is proud to support as a sponsor. I've been reading all about it with my children, and
D. Rabbit says, I know several Yale graduates in different disciplines. Some are not that smart, but just very good at jumping through hoops. Maybe, I don't know.
I'm amazed by the incredible...
Rich says, poor Usha trapped. That's what I'm... Dude, in this recording, she sounds trapped.
skill and teamwork that it takes to participate in this race. I'm also coming to celebrate the long history of mutual respect and cooperation between our nations, and to express hope that our relationship will only grow stronger in the coming years. I look forward to meeting many of you soon, and to learning from you about your beautiful land, culture, and traditions. See you soon.
What was this part of? Did she send this as like part of some sort of?
Hello. I'm so excited.
Hello. Like, where did this recording? Why did she do this? Where did this come from? Did she send this to the Greenland's government and they just made it public? Like, what is this even? So strange.
Just to back up here, to give you the big picture, I've talked to several White House and Trump administration officials about the president's desire to purchase Greenland and make it a U.S. territory. This both before he was in office and.
Oh, there's a video that goes with that recording. Let's see it. Usha, Vance, Greenland video. Let's see how trapped she looks in this video. Okay, here it is.
Hi there.
It was on the White House Instagram.
I'm so excited to share that I'll be visiting Kalaalleq.
This woman is trapped. There's no emotion on this woman's face.
Greenland next weekend. I'm particularly thrilled to visit during your national dog sled race, which are.
Bro, I've never seen a human look more trapped. She looks like she's got Stockholm syndrome.
Country is proud to support as a sponsor. I've been reading all about it with my children, and I'm amazed by the incredible skill and teamwork.
Bro, this might be AI. Look at the way her lips are moving and the sound. Like, where is the sound coming from? She's not wearing a mic on her body. Someone's just recording and blink twice if you need help. Exactly. Yo, I'm like 60% sure this is AI. A couple reasons. There is no obvious mic. Like the sound is really. It sounds like she's talking like this, like right into a microphone. There's no microphone here. Her like face doesn't match her voice. I wouldn't be surprised if they recorded this and they were like, "This is so bad. Let's just do AI to make it sound a little bit better." Yo, we're breaking stories here on the Sam Lichtman channel. Okay.
I'm so excited to share that I'll be visiting.
Look at her mouth. Her mouth looks so strange.
I'm so excited to share that I'll be visiting Kalaalleq, Greenland next weekend. I'm particularly thrilled to visit during your national dog sled race, which our country is proud to support as a sponsor.
At the very, very least, they recorded the video, they thought it was bad, and they re-recorded it like on a microphone. If you listen closely, you can hear someone like pressing record, and then she breathes for a second, and then she starts talking.
Ahead of her trip, let's listen.
You heard someone go, like you heard that. That's like someone pressing record on like a computer. So I'm pretty sure dude, we're breaking news here. At very, very least, I believe that they recorded this and then re-recorded it audio only and overlaid it. Because her mouth doesn't match her words, and I know audio. There is no microphone anywhere near her. The recording of this is so distorted and overblown.
I'm so excited to share that I'll be visiting Kalaalleq, Greenland next weekend. I'm particularly thrilled to visit during your national dog sled race, which our country is proud to support as a sponsor. I've been reading all about it with my children, and I'm amazed by the incredible skill and teamwork that it takes to participate in this race. I'm also coming to celebrate the long history of mutual respect and cooperation between our nations, and to express hope that our relationship will only grow stronger in the coming years. I look forward to meeting many of you soon and to learning from you about your beautiful land, culture, and traditions. See you soon. About your beautiful land, culture, and traditions. See you soon.
Something weird about that video, man. There's something weird about that video. Rich says this is 100% clipped audio glued together. The voice is super creepy bot-like. I'm not, I know I said it's AI. I'm not quite willing to say 100% sure that this is AI, but it's at very least overdubbed, or the audio is recorded separately or something. It's just weird. Her mouth just, it's moving so unnaturally.
I'm so excited to share that I'll be visiting Kalaalleq, Greenland, next weekend.
I want to see the original video. White House Instagram. Here she is. No.
I'm so excited to share that I'll be visiting Kalaalleq, Greenland, next weekend. I'm particularly thrilled to visit during our national dog sled race, which our country is proud to support as a sponsor. I've been reading all about it with my children, and I'm amazed by the incredible skill and teamwork that it takes to participate in this race. I'm also coming to celebrate the long history of mutual respect and cooperation between our nations, and to express hope that our relationship will only grow stronger in the coming years. I look forward to meeting many of you soon, and to learning from you about your beautiful land, culture, and traditions. See you soon. Hello. I'm so excited to share that I'll be visiting Kalaalleq, Greenland, next weekend. I'm particularly thrilled to visit during our national dog sled race.
Here's a crazy thought. Does her teeth change colors? Look
Which
how,
our country is proud to support as a sponsor. I've been reading all about it with my children, and I'm amazed by
her teeth are so white when she's talking. At the end, when they freeze frame and they pause, the teeth look like they're different colors.
The incredible skill and teamwork that it takes to participate in this race. I'm also coming to celebrate the long history of mutual respect and cooperation between our nations, and to express hope that our relationship will only grow stronger in the coming years. I look forward to meeting many of you soon, and to learning from you about your beautiful land, culture, and traditions. See you soon.
No, their teeth didn't change. She's reading from cue cards? Yeah, maybe, but that's not what we're investigating here, guys. Are people saying anything about how weird her delivery is on this? Look at this one. Damn. Ah, you have no emotions when you speak. Strange. It's funny how, you know, I was like, yo, she's in Get Out. And then the last video she posted one day ago, it's literally like some weird is going on. Free Usha. Free Usha, baby. Free Usha. Detective say, hey, don't say I never told you nothing.
Hello. I'm so excited to share that I'll be visiting Kalaalleq, Greenland, next weekend. I'm particularly thrilled to visit during our national dog sled race, which our country is proud to support as a sponsor. I've been reading all about it with my children, and
she needs some public speaking coaching or something, man. Or maybe there's nothing that can be done. She's too far gone. Her smile doesn't go up to her eyes. That's an interesting point.
And I'm amazed by the incredible skill and teamwork that
I remember Tyra Banks when I used to watch, like, back in the day, like, I don't know, early 2000s, I used to watch, like, America's Next Top Model. I remember Tyra Banks always being like, smile with your eyes, but not with your mouth. She does the opposite. She smiles with her mouth and not with her eyes. Right? Weird. Very weird. Very, very weird.
it takes to participate in this race. I'm also coming to celebrate the long history of mutual respect and cooperation between our nations, and to express hope that our relationship will only grow stronger in the coming years. I look forward to meeting many of you soon, and to learning from you about your beautiful land, culture, and traditions. See you soon.
Dead eyes. I mean, she's very beautiful. Don't get me wrong. Like, she's very beautiful. Nan B says, it's all very strange, robot-like. I agree. It is all very strange. Oh, Trump is posing with a black guy here. I said that he went to the wrestling tournament because it's all white guys. But look, he's posing with a black dude here. A white dude. Oh, 2 black dudes. All right, I'll give him credit for that. But I do think it's interesting that we'll see. He could still go to the Final Four. I'll give him some room to go to the Final Four. Or the national championship game. Does Usha have her own Instagram? Oh, this is a fan page. I was going to say this is not her page. That's an AI image of her for sure. That's got to be an AI image video of her. Oops. Yeah, these are not real images of her. Sick. Oh, she has a SLOTUS, right? Oh, what did I do? So you got 3 posts. No, 1, 2, 3, 4. You got 5 posts so far. What's this one? Happy St. Patrick's Day. Like, of the 5 posts you've done since you're First Lady, one of them is Happy St. Patrick's Day. SLOTUS also feels like it feels like you're a sloth.
Taoiseach Martin, the leader of Ireland, and of course his lovely wife. Thank you both for being here. We're thrilled to be able to celebrate this moment.
She's got she's got 5 posts. 2 of them are St. Patrick's Day posts.
Friendship between.
She's Indian.
The United States and Ireland.
Not that you can't. I'm not trying to say you can't celebrate St. Patrick's Day if you're Indian, but it's just like your two of your 5 posts are St. Patrick's Day.
Ireland.
The United States has been a steadfast friend of Ireland's for centuries. St. Patrick's Day, as it is celebrated today with great fanfare and flourish, began here in the United States. My sincere thanks to President Trump and to you, Mr. Vice President, for continuing.
All right. No! 3 out of 5 of her posts are about St. Patrick's Day. Guys, this is front level reporting that we're discovering here. I mean, who else has reported on that Usha Vance, 3 out of 5 of her Instagram posts are about St. Patrick's Day or about Ireland in some way? And they're just reposts, like they're just collaborative posts with JD. All right. Her first post was Special Olympics. I get that. Also, she only started posting March 10th. Maybe she hasn't. I'll give her the benefit of the doubt. Maybe she just got access to this and now she's just starting to post. And we just did go through St. Patrick's Day, so that's why all her stuff is St. Patrick's Day. I'll give her the benefit of the doubt. But the fact that 3 out of 5 are St. Patrick's Day / Ireland posts, strange. And then obviously the fucking robot one.
I'm so excited to share that I'll be visiting Kalaalleq, Greenland, next weekend.
Is this real? Why does this look and sound like AI? I'm telling you, bro. Something is weird. Hello, Tim. Greetings, Philip H. What happened to the Discord? I have no idea. Go check out Irish Papers and Media. They feckin' hate Trump and his meeting. was insulting to Ireland. See you later, great sound. Thanks for joining us on our deep dive into Usha Vance. She's following 4 people. Ah, damn it. I want to see the 4 people she's following. Rich is claiming it's definitely AI. Let's see. Has she put out any reports yet? Oh, it's just a bio.
It's the next step in Washington's velvet glove approach to Greenland. This week, Second Lady Usha Vance, National Security Advisor Mike Waltz, and Energy Secretary Chris Wright.
Hello. I'm so excited to be visiting Greenland this week. I'm also excited to see the dog race, and I love the collaboration between our countries. See you soon. I'm trying to smile like she smiles with like just mouth and no eyes. I can't even do it. It's so weird.
Will visit the territory top of the president's mind.
Greenland's going to be something that maybe is in our future.
Donald Trump has made annexation comments regarding the semi-autonomous territory and tied its importance to Arctic security as well as its natural resources.
This is friendliness, not provocation. We're dealing with a lot of people from Greenland that would like to see something happen with respect to their being properly protected and properly taken care of.
Is that true? That's like such a Trump statement. There are a lot of people on Greenland who want to be taken care of, and they want us to take care of them. A lot of people.
Earlier this year, Donald Trump Jr. visited the island, as the White House says these visits present an opportunity to build on partnerships that respects Greenland's self-determination. Greenland's outgoing prime minister is calling the visit a provocation and noted the caretaker leader would not meet with American officials.
Vi vil ikke være danskere. Vi vil ikke være amerikanere.
In January, he stated, "We don't want to be Danes. We don't want to be Americans. We want to be Greenlandic." And of course, it is the Greenlandic people who decide their future. This month's election will see the pro-business Democrats take control of the territory as it begins a slow transition towards independence from Denmark. The party leader called for political unity, but added that this visit during coalition talks.
You know what's crazy? I could see this I could see Trump getting this done. I don't know why. I just got this feeling of like, is this possible? I mean, they're gaining independence from Denmark. They're gonna have a big power vacuum. Like, it's possible.
Once again shows a lack of respect.
No way. From my vantage point, Greenland hates Trump. Okay. People don't agree with me. Have you talked about DOD texting warplanes with Yemen? Oh yeah, we talked about it.
For the Greenlandic people. As Trump has lodged similar threats north of the border, the response from Greenland could foreshadow what a new Canadian government can expect and how allies respond to remarks out of the Oval Office.
The extent of resistance we're getting from Greenland and Denmark just indicates that Trump is not meeting the response he's hoping for.
A U.S. delegation could...
All right, maybe I'm wrong. It seems like they're saying Greenland people don't want America at all.
...find itself in a similar position following Canada's election, as the upcoming G7 summit is set to be held in Alberta this June, leaving less than 2 months for a new prime minister to establish a rapport with the U.S. president. Kyle Benning, Global News.
My heart beats.
All right, let's do a poll. Will the U.S. get Greenland, yes or no? And if they do, we all have Usha Vance to thank. I I mean, I guess I'm just saying, like, the Canada thing is ridiculous, right? Like, there's no way at all that there's a shot about Canada, right? But, like, Greenland, it doesn't seem impossible. It's a NATO country. There is no way for something to pressure it, right? But then why are they so keen about leaving Norway? I guess they just want to be an independent country. That's why, right? Nobody agrees with me. Already 95% say no. The U.S. will not get Greenland. Denmark. Sorry, I meant Denmark. I want to hear from more Greenlanders. Let's see if we can find some first-hand testimony from some Greenlanders. Could it invade Greenland? No, he didn't. He didn't say that.
Denmark, which controls Greenland, it's not doing its job and it's not being a good ally. So you have to ask yourself, how are we going to solve that problem, solve our own national security? If that means that we need to take more territorial interest in Greenland, that is what President Trump is going to do, because he doesn't care about what the Europeans scream at us. He cares about putting the interests of America's citizens first.
I don't know if he's I think it's a stretch to say that he said that Trump could invade Greenland. That's a stretch.
A history of mutual respect.
Your vision for the potential annexation of Greenland and getting them potentially
Well, I think it'll happen, and I'm just thinking.
What does annexation mean exactly? Add a territory, essentially. So what is it? Can that be violent? Can an annexation be violent? Ross Goldberg says, remember, Trump is not a true fascist ideologue. He doesn't have a serious plan for invading a country, and he certainly has no way of getting any country through diplomacy. Hitler annexed Austria. So is it violent or is it not? Like, it could be. Yes and no. Annexation simply means take over a country. You can get a country peacefully or violently. All right. Both. Well, okay.
I didn't give it much thought before, but I'm sitting with a man that could be very instrumental. You know, Mark, we need that for international security, not just security, international. We have a lot of our favorite players, cruising around the coast, and we have to be careful.
I'm not convinced this isn't like I'm not saying it's gonna happen. I'm just saying it's of the things that I've heard from Trump, Panama, Canada, all that jazz, this seems to me the most realistic.
U.S. military planes arrive at Greenland's Nuuk airport ahead of a visit that's already stirring political turmoil and fierce reactions. On Sunday, the White House announced that Usha Vance, the wife of Vice President J.D. Vance, will visit Greenland on Thursday. She will be joined by the National Security Advisor Mike Waltz and Energy Secretary Chris Wright. God,
it's gonna be cold in Greenland, man. What's the temperature? Nuuk weather averages monthly. Okay, in July it gets up to 52 and 40. Like, that's like not terrible. 52 and 40. It's not like that bad. December is 27 and 18. That's not like horrific. Like, what's the let's see. What's What's Minneapolis's monthly weather? I mean, obviously it's going to be hotter in the summer, but I bet it's going to... Okay, December 28 and 13 in Minneapolis. It's warmer in Minneapolis, or it's warmer in Nuke in December than Minneapolis. It obviously gets much warmer in the summers. Minneapolis gets 23 and 7 in January. It's warmer in Nuke. What's the current weather in Nuke? 35. Snowy. It seems like it doesn't, like it stays, like the high and the low today was only 3 degrees apart. It seems like it doesn't vary on temperature that greatly. I wonder why.
In what's called a private tourist trip, the U.S. delegation plans to visit this American military base, the National Dog Sled Race, and historical landmarks.
This is a visit to learn about Greenland, its culture, history, and people.
The trip comes
to learn about Greenland, its culture, history, and people.
The trip comes at a sensitive time amid Greenlandic government negotiations and just days before municipal elections. Outgoing Prime Minister Mute Egede called the visit a provocation, accusing the US of disrespecting the Greenlandic people.
The Americans have been clearly informed that meetings can only take place when a new government has taken office.
US President Donald Trump has suggested the US should annex the semi-autonomous island for its strategic location and mineral wealth, an idea strongly rejected by Denmark, who also criticized the US delegation's visit.
It's a charm offensive aimed at pulling Greenland towards the USA. There is no appetite for this in Greenland, and there is no appetite for it in the kingdom either.
The US move has also drawn criticism from the EU. On Monday, the Commission reiterated its support for Denmark as pressure over Greenland continues to mount.
Time now for sport.
Time now to sport. Greenland elections. So the elections are over, or are they? Yeah, they're over. I don't know what that means. The Democrats won. Nobody votes up here? Or there just no people up there? I guess there's no people. Who would have thought, we'd be looking up Greenland's elections? So it was basically between the Democrats and the Nalarok. No, actually they got the Inuits got 21% of the vote. What's the Nalarok party? Nalarok is a centrist, populist, pro-independence political party in Greenland. The party favors greater cooperation with the United States. See, I'm telling you guys, 92% say it's not going to happen. The second leading party in Finland favors greater cooperation with the United States. But they didn't win. The Democrats have been skeptical of Greenlandic independence and even further self-governance. The party position in the past few years shifted within the Danish realm for foreseeable future, with independence as the end goal of a gradual process that starts with increased self-determination. So it seems like the Democrats kind of want to be independent, but kind of don't. And if they do, it's going to take a long time, and et cetera, et cetera. Fox News video where they interview Greenlanders. Okay, let's see. Only 56,800 people in Greenland. That's a fair point. Should I watch the
And
Midas
if
version?
Denmark wants to get to a conclusion, but nobody knows if they even have any right, title, or interest. The people are going to probably vote for independence or to come into the United States.
A lot about Trump and also their opinion about Trump.
I hate it.
Oh, that's gonna hurt!
First, this interview with a Canadian backfires.
Because Canada and the United States, that would really be something.
I want to watch the original video. I don't want to watch the Midas Touch edit. Is this it? Can someone send me it?
So you think you know Wix, but do you really? First up, we've got Shake Video Mat.
Here's a question for you. What do the people of Greenland really think about joining the United States? Well, Alex Hogan is in Greenland's capital, that is Nuuk, N-U-U-K. Alex joins us now. You spoke with the residents there. What are they telling you?
Hi, Stuart. Yeah, so a lot of mixed reaction from residents here in Nuuk, Greenland, about President-elect Donald Trump's comments about the island. But to set the stage and give our viewers a little insight into where we are, again, Nuuk is the capital of Greenland. This island is the largest in the world. It's 3 times larger than Texas, but only 57,000 people live here because most of the territory is ice. But with that ice melting, that is creating the potential for new shipping routes, which world powers are looking at.
Limited Light, thank you for your donation. Imagine all those ungrateful and fentanyl making Canucks becoming citizens. /sarcasm.
This island is also a location that is very critical defensively for the U.S. It's in the middle of the Atlantic between Europe and North America.
There we get it.
Greenland is also home to the U.S.'s most northernmost military base. So the hot topic here, as you mentioned, has been those comments. And as I mentioned, a lot of mixed reaction. Take a listen.
A lot about Trump and also their opinion about Trump.
I hate it. And basically, I don't know what he's aiming at.
Me personally, I want to stick with Danish government.
Okay, those 3 people.
So while most people that we spoke with said they did not support President-elect Trump's comments, one man we talked with has been an
This guy is funny, man.
advocate for years, saying that this kind of partnership is exactly what Greenland needs.
The Danish government has spent no money to defend of Greenland and have not modernized ships and everything in that area. As the world is now, we have to be protected by U.S. more. And the Trump administration and U.S. is the best.
I just started a goal, guys. I don't know if you've ever done that before, but it's a donation goal. Now that I don't have a job, I gotta make things work.
To surveillance and do it for Greenland.
Denmark's prime minister has said that the island is not for sale, and Greenland's prime minister yesterday called for independence, but also said that the island is going to continue to work more with the U.S. as it pertains to defense and mining in the future. Stuart?
Okay, I'm not guaranteeing this is happening. I'm just saying that if any of these territorial things that Trump wants to do, if any of them do become real, this is the one, in my opinion, that's closest to being real. That's just me. I'll end the poll. 93% say it's not going to happen. You're probably right. Ross Goldberg says it's not even clear that most people in U.S. military, including those in the upper echelon, really go along with the idea of invading a sovereign in this day and age. Yeah, but they could do it. They could do it in other ways. They don't have to invade it necessarily. Someone in Greenland said, normally delegations request permission or are invited by a government leader. Deciding to show up is a failure to respect normal processes. Oh, I didn't realize this. Not all countries can become members and do super chats. Give us another way to donate. How do I do that? Patreon? What's the difference between just donation and Patreon and members? Will Elon betray Trump? I don't know. I don't find it useful speculating about Trump and Elon's relationship. Thank you, Heather Grass. That's my first of 10 donations in the next 30 minutes. That's the goal right now. Are people familiar with this game? Let me see if I can pull it up. I downloaded this game. Hold on. I downloaded this new Spider-Man game. It's the remastered original. I played a little bit of it, but I kind of want to play it on stream. So I'm curious if people would be interested in that. Watching some Spider-Man jaunt. Origins and Tales says my husband just played 2. Nice. I'm not gonna play it tonight, but maybe tomorrow. Spider-Man is pretty good. Spider-Man was really good. Yeah, my old roommate convinced me that I had to play the first one. Start a poll. Would you watch if I played Spider-Man on stream? And be honest. I want you to be honest. I want to know if this is something, people want to watch. If you don't, say no. If you do, say yes. Is Venom in either of these games? I don't know. I haven't gotten to Venom yet. Play FF7. What's that? What's FF7? FF7. Everything will work out for you, Sam. Thank you, Heather. And Heather is the only one letting me hit this donation goal right now, so thank you to Heather. Final Fantasy. Oh, I don't know if I can handle trying to bite off learning how to play Final Fantasy. I've never played it before. Newsweek. Russia TV says we need Greenland. Eyes deal with Trump. So is there going to be some sort of Russia-US deal about Greenland? That would be interesting. Wow, deciding war moves via text chat and unencrypted at that. Do I have PayPal? I think so. Yes. I think it's just my email, lichtman.sam@gmail.com. Tim says, that's my dad's type of game. He loves this MMORPGs. So far, what I've played, I've liked it. I mean, you can see I've barely started. I've only unlocked 3% of it, but Musk pay. I don't understand what is it about YouTube donation and memberships that people don't like, and what is it about other stuff they prefer. The Ghost of Tsushima game was so cool. You should play it again. I pretty much beat it. There might be like 1 or 2 missions left, but I pretty much beat it from what I remember. From Newsweek, same article, Andrew Guruloyev, a Russian parliament Duma member and former military commander, made the remarks during an appearance on state television, channel Russia 1. I think for now I'm going to be playing this one. Witcher 3. All right, we need more votes. We got 70 people watching, but only 24 votes on the poll. We need votes on the poll. Like, even if you're like indifferent about it, I would vote yes. You know what I mean? If you're like, yeah, I'd watch, I don't really care, just vote yes. If you're like, really, I don't want to watch that, then vote no. Uh-oh, it's 50-50 with 28 votes. Uh-oh, the no's are winning. Okay, so the people who are voting no, can you put in the chat what other content you would like me to create? Say, I voted no. I would prefer you to do this kind of content. Can you do that for me? Oh, it's back to 50-50. It's weird. Origins and I voted yes because games are fun. Just not interested watching video games. Okay. James, I get that. ASMR mukbang content. Oh, God. I don't have anything against Spider-Man. I'd just rather play video games than watch other people play them. All right, I get that. Some MAGA supporters say AOC is a dictator. I don't even know what that means. Like, what is their line of reasoning behind that statement? I gotta stand up for a second. Oh, I've been sitting for so long. Do some jumping jacks. Ready? Everybody get up and do some jumping jacks. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. How was that? I watch you on my iPad and it doesn't give me the option to become a member to your channel. Huh. It should. Camus says, I was in Milwaukee, Wisconsin this weekend knocking on doors. Good for you, man. Or woman, or whoever you might be. I like the random musing about anything, like Usha. So you just like my detective work. Origins and Tall Tales says, I'm the opposite. Playing is boring, but I love watching my hubby play. Sam, squats are best for getting blood sugar stabilized when sitting for long periods. All right, let's do it. 10 squats. Here we go. All right. Ready? This is a tight space. I'm going to do it this way. It's always better. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. How was that? Uh-oh. You gotta go to posts and hit the link. I don't know what you mean by that. Tim says, we got to take that Wisconsin Supreme Court seat. Yeah, that's important. Do you think Dems will win Wisconsin? I don't know. Haven't been following it that closely. Ask my dad tomorrow. We'll probably talk about it more tomorrow than I will today. Cynthia says, I'm doing squats at diddly squat, slaps knee. That's a good one. That's a really good one. Elon is trying to buy it by offering $100 to voters. Yeah, I saw that. That's so weird. Elon Musk, Wisconsin. I don't know what I just typed. I don't understand how this guy just keeps getting away with shit. Like, this can't be legal. This year's first major political test in Wisconsin becomes a referendum on Elon Musk. The election to fill Wisconsin's Supreme Court seat has become a referendum not only in the new administration, but Elon Musk, the billionaire who has become one of the President Donald Trump's. Blah, blah. The April 1 election is the first major test in American politics since Trump secured his second term. It will serve as a crucial barometer of enthusiasm in both parties heading into next year's midterms. It's also a test for Elon Musk. He spent more than $200 million to help Trump in November. He's canvassing and advertising in Wisconsin on behalf of the conservative candidate. A win would cement his status as a conservative kingmaker, while a loss could give license to Republicans to distance themselves from him. Man, it's just sad to see like some. I mean, I know this has been happening in politics for a long time, the billionaire class taking over our politics, but they're not even trying to hide it anymore. Maybe that's what's sad. How this country got so buried underneath money and politics is sad. Who's going to hold him accountable? That's the issue. Nobody. Obviously, supporting a candidate obviously isn't illegal, right? Giving money to a candidate as a billionaire and all this money isn't illegal, even though maybe it should be. But where's this $100 thing? Is this real, or is this just like? Because sometimes people come on here and say stuff and then I can't find it. This is 3 days old. Here's 22 hours ago.
You know Harbor Freight for affordability, but durability goes right along with it. You see,
This proposal by billionaire Elon Musk's Political Action Committee offers Wisconsin registered voters $100 to sign a petition in opposition of activist judges, plus an extra $100 for each signer they refer.
I don't know if it's illegal or not.
I think if you are in agreement with that, you don't need to get paid for it.
The announcement was posted on X Thursday night as voters face a pivotal Wisconsin Supreme Court race. Longtime voters at Tippecanoe Library on Milwaukee's South Side tell me the move is concerning.
Money is influence, and I think especially $100.
I would hope when they go vote that they are voting based upon what they know, what they've learned.
Thank you, Jeanette, for your donation. I don't know why it didn't add to the goal. That's weird. Ugh. That's weird. Oh, the poll went way up. If I play Spider-Man, would you watch? 64% say yes. take the $100 and vote the other way. That'd be fun. It's not a bad idea.
And what they believe, not based upon $100 being influenced because they signed a petition.
According to Wiz Politics, spending in the state Supreme Court race has topped $76 million, breaking the previous spending record of $56 million in 2023. Musk and Republicans.
That's just crazy, dude. We shouldn't be spending $70 million on Supreme Court, on judge races. That's crazy.
Support candidate Brad Schimmel. Susan Crawford is backed by Democrats.
You might think that you've seen pathetic.
The April 1st election will determine the ideological makeup of Wisconsin's Supreme Court. Today, we're learning billionaire Elon Musk's financial investment in the race is growing, with a cash prize specifically for voters in this election. It's similar to the sweepstakes he offered.
Camus says, I donated $750 to Crawford and I drive a Toyota Corolla. That's the way it should be, man. Ruben wants to see some sports content. Okay, we'll definitely do some sports content.
For the general election back in November. New at 5, Chloe Morrissey has you covered on Musk's offer and its legality.
Early voting is underway ahead of the April 1st election, and Elon Musk is now offering money to Wisconsin voters to sign a petition in support of Republican-backed Supreme Court candidate Judge Brad Schimmel. Musk's political group America PAC is offering $100 to registered Wisconsin voters who signed this petition, asking them to reject the, quote, actions of activists.
Dennis says, I voted no on Spider-Man, just not my thing. Gio, guess it was fun. You needed your dad to do one. But social commentary is your thing, and you're great at it, Sam. Oh, thank you. Did you hear about the car that drove into protesters outside of Mar-a-Lago? No, I'll have to look that up.
Judges who impose their own views. This move is less than 2 weeks ahead of the state Supreme Court race where Schimmel will face off against Democratic-backed candidate Judge Susan Crawford, which could flip the ideological makeup of the court from liberal to conservative-leaning. Musk's two political groups, America PAC and Building for America's Future, have already spent over $11 million in TV ads attacking Crawford. I reached out to Judge Crawford's campaign for an interview and got a statement that said in part, now Musk has resorted to buying votes. Similarly, ahead of the presidential election, Musk offered a chance for voters in Wisconsin and 6 other swing states to win $1 million if they signed a petition.
That can't be legal, dude. There are such strict laws around sweepstakes and lotteries. Like, there's no way that's legal.
Supporting the First and Second Amendments. Musk's latest cash giveaway is once again raising questions about legality.
Sometimes you get surveys that say we'll give you $2 if you fill out this survey. You've seen things like that. Legally, this is no different from that. Now, it feels very sketchy because it involves an election.
Musk's company Tesla.
Who is this guy that said that?
Is suing the state of Wisconsin over a decision last year preventing him from opening dealerships in the state. That case could be heard by the state Supreme Court. I also reached out to Schimmel's campaign for comment on Musk's petition, as well as Attorney General Josh Kaul's office, but I have not heard back.
I don't know. This is how I feel about it. How the fuck is this not illegal, right? I mean, this guy gives an example of like, I mean, there's so many layers to this, right? Like this guy gives an example of like, oh, if you sign this petition, you get $2. All right, is that the same as a billionaire inserting himself into a state election where he has a direct conflict of interest and he has a super PAC that's giving people money? Like, there's so many layers to this. To just be like, yeah, it's legal. I don't know if I buy it. So what is this Mar-a-Lago crash? I don't see anything about running into protesters at Mar-a-Lago. Saying we need Fortnite streams. I don't know if I can do Fortnite. I tried playing Fortnite a couple years ago and I just was like, I felt so behind, you know, like I was so bad, and everybody, I don't know, I don't think Fortnite's in my future. I don't deny that it's fun. It's not for me. Guys, there's 7 minutes and 50 seconds on my goal of 10 teal super chats. Let's see, this whole AOC is a dictator. I don't even know if I can find this. Sam, how often are you going to stream? I'm going to try to stream at least Monday to Thursday, maybe Monday to Friday. I mean, I agree with all this. Like, AOC takes on assertive new role as Democrats angers. Like, Bernie and AOC are the only ones doing anything. You got to give them the respect that they deserve, you know?
Community is the most powerful building block we have to defeat authoritarianism and root out the corruption in the White House. We're all here together because we share in the frustration and the heartache that comes from watching those in power actively tear down or refuse to fight for everyday working Americans like us. And we are here together because an extreme concentration of power and corruption is taking over this country like never before. But we are also here today because we know that a better world is possible. But to get there, we need to be honest about where we are. Because we are witnessing an oligarchy in America.
Nathan says, can I become a member? Absolutely. Please become a member. Per se, how do I? So let me see if I can thank you, RG, for your donation. 3 out of 10 on my goal for this hour, for this 30 minutes, 5 minutes left.
Okay.
Let me see if I can. So I might need to sign in. That's the only issue. Also, what do people think about the name change to Sam Lichtman? Do you like it? So if you go to my profile and you click join right here, that's how you become a member. Let me see. Let me do a poll. Do you like the name change to Sam Lichtman? Thank you, Nathan. I appreciate the kind words. Cameron says, I want Elon Musk deported to El Salvador. I don't want anybody deported to El Salvador.
And that is when those with the most economic, political, and technological power destroy the public good to enrich themselves while millions of Americans pay the price. And we are at a point where the wealthiest people in the world, like Elon Musk, and all the Republicans enabling him, are turning to loot what is left of Medicaid, Medicare, and Social Security to bankroll even deeper tax cuts and sweetheart contracts for themselves, their fellow billionaires, and their corporations. And our political system right now is ill prepared for this abuse of power. In fact, our political system enables it, starting with the role of money in politics.
Facts.
But I am here to remind you that we are not powerless.
Thank you, Axel, for your donation. I really appreciate that. So I'm at 4 out of 10 of my goal. Are you viewing it full screen? Yes. Am I not? Hey, Sam, my bad. The protester was a Tesla dealership, not Mar-a-Lago. Oh. AOC and Bernie had 23,000 people in Tucson. They're the only Dems who seem to really be putting in the work, making a grassroots movement actually happen. So, respect.
In this moment, people are starting to put the pieces together. And ironically, the most divisive forces in our country are actually starting to bring more of us together.
Thank you, Michael Yu. I appreciate that. What currency is that? Let me see. Philippine pesos. Thank you, Michael Yu. Shout out to the Philippines. I love the Philippines.
And that is important because the billionaire and the elite class derives their power from dividing working people apart along lines of left or right, race and gender, creed and culture. They will throw every label and judgment and cultural debate at us in the book to keep us distracted and from realizing that the only division that is truly hurting our country the most is the endless.
People keep talking about this Tesla dealership thing. Let me see. FBI launches threats. This is old. This is FBI warns of violence against Tesla as domestic terrorism. This is all old stuff, though. Incendiary devices located at Tesla dealership in Austin. Is this the new part? Look, I don't advocate violence, but I also don't support Tesla. Let's check out their stock. Oh, it's growing today. Let's check the 5-day. It's growing? 1 month. Why is it back up? I guess because it went so far down. Let's check. Still a year to date since Trump came in office. It's down. This is what I want to see. I don't want to see violence. I don't want to see people blowing up Tesla dealerships. I want to see the stock crash. Man, it really spiked during the election. Or right after the election, I guess. Proud Boys are responsible for much of this? How do you know that? Dennis says civil disobedience. Yes. Tesla's on a downtrend. Yeah, since the new year, they've gone down, but last couple of days they've gone up a little bit. What name change? Was it listed as Sammy before? It was before. It was Sammy Licked, just because I didn't want, my job to find it, essentially. RG says, I'm watching Tesla to buy put options, which is a bet for the price to drop. I'm watching Tesla to buy put options. I don't know what you mean by that. I don't know what put options are. Oh, people like 89% say they like the name change. Okay. It was Sammy Licht before. Sammylicht. Put options as part of options trading. Okay. Bet against Tesla. All his Cybertrucks were recalled. Yeah, the Cybertruck is the Cybertruck is a meme car. Last 5 days it's gone up. Stayed about the same today. Surged 12% today. Hate to see it. What car is my daily? I drive a Subaru Forester. Why the name change? Because it was Sammy Licht before, because I was trying to not have my job find it. Or, the FAA find it. But don't need to worry about that right now. Hamdan Balal, co-director of Oscar-winning documentary No Other Land, has been attacked by Israeli settlers and kidnapped by Israeli soldiers. Hamdan Balal. What? This is crazy. Oscar-winning Palestinian director is attacked by Israeli settlers and detained by the army for what? Israeli settlers beat up one of the Palestinian co-directors of the Oscar-winning film No Other Land on Monday in the occupied West Bank before he was detained by the Israeli military. According to his fellow witness, the filmmaker was one of 3 Palestinians detained in the village. Police told her they're being held at a military base for medical treatment, and she said she hasn't been able to speak with them. Basel Adra, another co-director, witnessed the detention and said around 24 settlers, some masked, some carrying guns, some in Israeli uniforms, attacked the village. Soldiers who arrived pointed their guns at the Palestinians while settlers continued to throw stones. Jeez. We came back from the Oscars, and every day since there's an attack on us. This might be their revenge for us making the movie. It feels like a punishment. This is messed up, bro. The Israeli military said it detained 3 Palestinians suspected of hurling rocks at the forces, and 1 Israeli civilian involved in violent confrontation between Israelis and Palestinians. A claim witnesses interviewed by the AP disputed. The military said it had transferred them to the Israeli police for questioning and had evacuated an Israeli citizen from the area to receive medical treatment. No Other Land, which won the Oscar this year for Best Documentary, chronicles the struggle by residents of the Masafir Yatta area to stop the Israeli military from demolishing their villages. Balal and Adra, both from Musafar Yatta, made the joint production with Israeli director Yuval Abraham and Rachel Shores. The film has won a string of international awards. I haven't seen it yet. I gotta watch it. Adria said the settlers entered the village Monday evening shortly after residents broke their daily fast for the Muslim holy month of Ramadan. A settler who, according to Adria, frequently attacks the village, walked over to Bilal's home with the military, and soldiers shot in the air. Bilal's wife heard her husband being beaten outside and screaming, "Jeez Louise. This is terrible." Adria then saw the soldier lead Balal handcuffed and blindfolded. Why do they need to blindfold him? They're taking him for medical treatment. Why do they need to blindfold him? Bilal's blood was still splattered on the ground outside of his front door. Jeez, dude. These Israeli settlers are fucking nuts, dude. Like, they're literally off their rockers. Some of the details of Adria's account were backed up by another eyewitness who spoke on condition of anonymity out of fear of reprisal. A group of 10 to 20 masked settlers with stones and sticks who assaulted activists with the Center for Jewish Nonviolence, smashing their car windows and slashing their tires. Video provided by the Center for Jewish Studies showed a mass settler shoving and swinging his fist at 2 activists in a dusty field at night. The activists rushed back to their cars as rocks can be heard. Is this a different event? Wow. T-Rabbit says they took him for the ambulance. So why'd they need to blindfold him? I don't know many people before you get into an ambulance. They go, oh, one second, we gotta blindfold you before we put you in the ambulance. Pierre Holmes in the house, baby. James says, disgust me. Israel breaking ceasefire and again going after Palestinians. Yeah, this is about as bad as it gets. I don't know if I can show this. I'm going to take it off screen and just watch it myself and just react to it. I can't really tell what's happening. It's just like a shaky camera. I don't know what's happening. I'm opening another one. What's the best album of 2024? That's a hard question. Then Yahoo has got to go, says Tim. I agree. Brat, I actually kind of like Brat. I don't know if it's the best album of 2024, but it's up there. Too bad Trump gave BB carte blanche. Yeah. I'm gonna try to see what I'm gonna pull up my Spotify, see what I listened to most this year. Can you do that? Your library. Recent. I really like this album, The Auditorium Volume 1 by Common and Pete Rock. I really like that album this year. Brat. I listen to Brat quite a bit. I didn't listen to a ton of Spotify this year because there was a channel in LA that I really liked, 88.5. If you're familiar with the area's radio stations. The Amelia Perez soundtrack, does that count? A lot of the albums I listened to this year were not from this year. Yeah, I didn't really listen to. I like Charm by Claro. People know that album. I didn't listen to a lot this year. What are you and Alan going to talk about on tomorrow's show? I don't know. We don't have a topic yet. We usually wait till day up to pick a topic. I love the interview your dad did where Charlie gets brought up. Oh yeah, it's so funny. He has no clue who Charlie XCX is. It's hilarious. The Glenn Kirshner interview was a good one. Thank you. Appreciate that. It's hard to do interviews on my dad's channel because my dad is more of a lecturer, so he doesn't really shine in an interview setting, you know. Quizzing your dad may be a good segment. That is a good idea. Turn the tables on him, right? Excuse me. Challenger soundtrack. Challenger soundtrack was good. I didn't really like the movie, but the soundtrack was good. Have I watched any of Kirshner's videos on his channel? Do you know his famous phrase, "Justice matters"? Yeah, when we were leading up to that interview, I watched some of his stuff. And he had "Justice Matters" in the background when we were interviewing him. I like that idea of quizzing my own dad. All right, I need to stand up again. Come on, everybody, let's do some squats. All right, folks. Ready for some squats? One, two, three, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Whew. Where are you at right now? I'm in DC. Pierre, you gotta go watch after this, you gotta go watch the beginning of the stream. Michael Yu says, wish I could, I have bad knees. You look tall, I'm 6'2". You didn't know? I guess you wouldn't know. Why would you know? And on a count of 3, go, 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 go. Answer the question. Is Elon Musk convicted? I don't know what you mean. Answer what? Does anybody understand what they're saying? This is from Reed Cattledew. Answer the question. Is Elon Musk convicted? Convicted of what? I don't know. Oh, they're having a side battle. Oh. Trump is a convict. Yes. That is true. Is Trump a convict? Yes or no? What's this executive order for Trump to lower home prices? Does anybody know about that? Trump lower home prices.
I'm here, and if you haven't heard it yet, breaking news, we now have an official plan from Donald Trump that aims to lower the cost of housing. After all, affordability is at its lowest level in more than 3 decades.
I agree with that. I think I've said this in the past. I think affordability is the biggest problem facing America right now.
6% of Americans feel like the cost of housing is a growing problem. Inventory is at a record low. And if there's a solution, now is the time to pay close attention, because it's crucial that we talk about exactly what's being proposed, what this means for you, the chances of this passing, and the likelihood of it making a sizable financial difference, especially since this could result in more than 4 million new homes potentially coming on the market. Although before we start, if you appreciate videos like this, where we just talk about the facts, regardless of what side you're on, it's suddenly collapsed. And for sponsoring this video, applied to as many comments as I can. So thanks so much, and also big thank you to Policy Genius for sponsoring this video, but more on that later. Alright, so in terms of where we currently stand, here's a super brief recap to bring you up to speed. A lot of the problems that we see today are the result of the 2006 housing bubble, when home builders went into overdrive. Back then, they constructed more homes than buyers could purchase, people were purchasing properties with no money down, and once sellers began cashing out...
Michael Usha says, careful with that influencer. You mean Graham Stephan? Why? Is there an issue with this guy?
Everything suddenly collapsed. Now typically, a market correction like this would be much needed, because it's how a lot of people, including myself, were able to purchase their first property for a fraction of the price that it is today. But here's the catch. Even though the housing market eventually recovered, home construction never fully bounced back to pre-2006 levels. So with fewer homes being built and more people jumping in the markets, home prices started creeping back upwards, until COVID hit and everything went haywire. Like, as I'm sure you've seen throughout 2020 and 2021, mortgage rates hit their lowest point ever in history, making it incredibly easy to finance a home. This meant that a sizable portion of the housing market had been bought by people with really low interest rates who refused to move, because if they did, their payment would increase by more than 50% now that rates have gone back up. This is what's known as the lock-in effect, and when you combine that with the fact that home building still has not caught up to where it was 20 years ago, you have the perfect storm to keep inventory low, prices high, and places like this renting for $1,400 a month. So what's the solution, and where do we go from here? Well, according to Trump's plan, there are 3 items that would bring down the cost of housing, with the first being building codes. As an example of this, the Department of Housing and Urban Development previously issued a policy that required all new construction meet a certain level of energy efficiencies if they were to qualify for federally backed mortgages. Now, even though this is...
Ruben R. says, lowering home prices is just noise, a talking point from the idiot Red. Yeah, that's kind of the vibe I'm getting, especially after this first thing. It's like, oh, let's just roll back all energy efficiency regulations. It's like, this just seems like a move to help big oil and big business, not really help people reduce housing costs. I mean, maybe it'll reduce the home's cost, but it can't be that much, right? I don't know.
Certainly an upgrade. The National Association of Home Builders estimated that this could add up to $31,000 to the cost of a new home. And that's just the very beginning, because these energy efficiencies
no windows.
Pretty much
Ned B says, no windows, yeah.
Everything from furnaces to water heaters to air conditioners, dishwashers, and light bulbs.
Right, but that saves you money over time. It's like they're taking away something that's saving people money over time on utilities, on energy costs.
The list goes on. Now,
I mean, obviously, for those to reach $31,000, it would take, I don't even know, 30 years plus. I don't even know if it'll ever reach that, but still. These energy efficiency regulations saves people money.
Personally, I'll admit, I'm a fan of energy efficiency. I'm not a fan of wasting energy. I like to turn off electricity when I'm not using it, and I like renewable energy. But I'm also not naive to the fact that when certain things are mandated by the Housing and Urban Development, that's going to drive up the cost. And if the only goal is to bring down the cost...
Is that the only goal?
...of a house to then pass the savings on to the buyer, This will make a bit of a difference, and that's what also brings me to my second point, less regulation. According to a prior executive order, Trump wrote that many Americans are unable to purchase homes due to historically high prices, in part due to regulatory requirements that alone account for 25% of the cost of constructing a new home. And according to several studies, he's not wrong. On single-family homes, government regulation accounts for 23.8% of the overall cost, and on multifamily, it's a whopping 40.6%. On top of that, it said,
I don't know, this seems like the classic right-wing way of doing things. Like, just slash all regulation and everything gets cheaper. It's like, it never seems to work.
That even though many land use decisions are made by local governments, easing federal restrictions would help lower construction costs for home builders.
And like, especially in a state like California or Florida, where like they're dealing with so many natural disasters, like you really want your home to be less regulated, less controlled. I don't know. Susie just said, yeah, and when there's a fire or flood, right, exactly.
However, critics of this argue that many of Trump's other policies, like tariffs, could actually end up having the exact opposite effect. Like, a lot of lumber comes from Canada, which could add a 25% increase to cost, and deportations could raise the cost of labor since, let's be honest, a lot of home builders use workers from out of the country. But either way, as it is right now, when builders look at their overhead cost, building affordable units just isn't profitable. And the only way that they can make money is by constructing luxury units. So if you could bring down the cost of overhead for builders, that should, in theory, make it more affordable for everyday buyers. Which then brings us to the third point of Trump's plan, building on federal land.
These all seems like really bad solutions to the problem.
See, what most people don't realize is that 28% of the entire United States.
How can we call more for you today?
We'll car more.
Dang ads.
By the government. This includes things like national parks, areas with mineral rights, military.
So these are all the areas owned by federal. Bureau of Indian Affairs, Bureau of Land Management.
Military bases and locations preserved for conservation.
Mostly in Nevada, Arizona, Utah, Idaho. Mostly in the West.
So as a way to help spark economic growth, the Trump administration is setting up a national task force to locate federal land that could potentially be used for affordable housing development. The goal is to open up large areas of federal land by transferring or leasing it to local governments. In terms of what this could look like, the American Enterprise Institute said that this could result in the construction of 3 to 4 million new homes across western states like Nevada, Utah, California, and Arizona. Although even though this looks pretty massive, when you really take a close look at this, you'll begin to realize that only a very small percentage of land is actually buildable. After all, most of this land is completely remote. It requires things like roads, electricity, and plumbing.
That's what I was about to say, is like, these federal owned lands in states like Nevada, there's nothing there. I mean, you're not just going to wake up one day and build a housing development in, central Nevada.
To make it accessible. Not to mention, most of this land isn't located anywhere near a place that most people would want to live. Although the Wall Street Journal did take a closer look and found that 7.3% of all federal land would overlap with an existing city. So this could potentially be used for additional development. But in terms of whether or not this is actually going to make a difference and what you could expect in the housing market over the next few years, I hope you're sitting down. Although before we go into that, when it comes to investing, building wealth, or even basic personal market coming at all, so many are profitable. And in my opinion, unprepared, if you want to respond to America's top fine life coverage, work and help you look life in what happens. Quotes from with a link down. Federal land, description. Thank you so much, and now let's get back to the video. All right, now in terms of building on federal land, lowering the cost of housing, and the impact this is about to have on the housing market, here's what you came for. As far as Trump's use of federal land, it's really important to clarify that, according to them, this isn't a free-for-all to build on federal lands, although we recognize that bad faith critics will likely call it that. It's a strategic effort to use our resources responsibly while preserving our most beautiful lands. They further went on to say that for land use, all options are being explored, including transferring or leasing federal lands to public housing authorities, nonprofits, and local governments. However, lands within national parks, wildlife refuges, or other conservation areas will remain protected. Specifics will be announced as the task force completes its review and finalizes details. Practically, this just means that if an area is rezoned for development, it's probably just going to be near an existing city without an alternative purpose, and the government's likely going to rent it to the city on a land lease so that way.
Yeah, but there's a big assumption here. There's an assumption that all this other land is, there's no habitat on it, there's nothing going on, there's no wildlife, That's a big assumption. Like, oh, we're not going to build on any, designated wildlife areas or national parks. It's like, yeah, but most of that area is inhabited, especially the West, is inhabited by, wild animals and very specific habitats, whether it's technically protected or not, right? I don't know.
They retain some level of control and ownership. Although as far as where we stand right now in the housing market, if nothing changes, Zillow economists believe that U.S. home prices will rise just 0.8% between February 2025 and 26, or basically home prices are going to decline year over year when you account for inflation, which is the lowest level that they've given since 2020. In terms of why, they
What's wrong with that?
say that the rise in active listings is fueling softer price growth as greater supply provides more options and more bargaining power for buyers.
What's wrong with that?
On top of that, potential buyers are opting to remain renters for longer as affordability challenges suppress demand for home purchases, with the weakest markets coming in around Louisiana and Texas. However, even though the market does appear to be mostly stuck, there is some good news with Trump's policies. All the economic uncertainty is causing mortgage rates to fall, making it more affordable for a buyer to purchase a home. That's right, as a result of cost cutting, tariff concerns, and recession fears, mortgages are getting slightly more affordable, bringing a surplus of buyers and sellers back into the market, which inadvertently is helping the housing economy. Although if you expect prices to fall, according to the data, think again. Here's the thing, when it comes to affordability,
No, I'm confused. He just said Zillow predicting housing prices to fall, but according to the data, it's not going to fall.
We have two aspects to consider. The first is a home selling price, and this is pretty straightforward. The more expensive the home, the higher the average payment, and the more unaffordable it becomes. But the second is where the real magic happens. Monthly payments. In this case, if you get a $500,000 loan at a 7% interest rate, your monthly payment's going to be $3,300 a month. But if interest rates are at 3.5%, the exact same loan would be $2,200 a month, even if home prices stay the exact same. And this is what we could expect to happen. As an example of this, with the exception of
that doesn't sound bad to me.
2008, home prices have been shown to continue rising even during a recession 81% of the time, but interest rates usually end up going lower, meaning we could enter a situation where sales prices stay the exact same, but monthly payments go down because we enter a recession, home prices don't budge, but monthly payments go down. Yes, I know that sounds confusing, but all you need to know is this. Lower interest rates allow people to take on a larger loan. But if a recession hits and fewer people are in the market, it's almost like a counterbalance, preventing prices from skyrocketing back into the stratosphere. Although in terms of what I think and my honest thoughts on Trump's housing plan, here you go. From my perspective, politics aside, if we want to tackle the housing problem, here's what we're up against.
Hold on one second. It sounds like my dog's getting into something. Sorry, my dog got into something. He's fine. Oops.
Plan. Here you go. From my perspective, politics aside, if we want to tackle the housing problem, here's what we're up against. According to the Realtor.com chief economist, the U.S. is facing a deficit between 2.5 million and 7.2 million homes. So right off the bat, home construction would have to increase by a lot to even begin to make a difference. And I'll be honest, federal regulation is only a very small piece of the pie. Like, even if building costs can come down 20% through eliminating things like energy efficiency, which would be very ambitious and unlikely to take place in the next year or two, even if that did happen, home prices and monthly payments are still 50% higher than they were 5 years ago. So the end result is still home prices are very expensive. To dig a little deeper, Trump's latest executive order so far lacks any concrete details as to exactly where he's going to be cutting exact costs, other than citing regulatory requirements, which so far fall back on the state to ensure that developers aren't cutting corners. And even though opening up federal land is certainly interesting, only a small portion is located in an area that would actually make a difference. Like, take a look at Las Vegas. There is no shortage of land available as it is. And federal land throughout California is mainly hillside. And we all know how that turned out. Now, that's not to say that they can't properly build on federal land. It's just that it's going to be a lot less than people expect. And the underlying conditions still haven't changed. It's extremely expensive to build. People don't want to move. And things like regulation, zoning, and permits take a long time to get approved. In my opinion, the only way to unfreeze the housing market is to allow people to take their existing mortgage with them on a primary residence when they buy another property. From there, expedite the permits so people aren't waiting months for approval, and increase the capital gains exclusion from $500,000 to $1 million for married couples on, again, their primary residence to incentivize people to pick up and move. Honestly, if anyone from the administration is watching this, take my ideas, because all of these things I think are practical ways to unstick the housing market immediately. And if I could take my mortgage rate with me when I go and buy another house, I would consider moving, which says a lot because I absolutely love where I am. Anyway, all of that is to say that there's not much that I see significantly impacting the housing market over the next few years outside of a severe economic recession, which could actually be good for the housing market if interest rates fall. And all of these proposals are likely going to take 2 to 3 years to actually begin to make a difference. Like, you have to think, a lot of the major home builders plan their projects 1 to 2 years in advance. So once something actually passes, it's going to take at least that long to begin to show up in the market, assuming they actually pass those savings on to the buyer. That's why I think if you want an immediate incentive, it has to be to take your existing loan with you or a larger capital gains exclusion to incentivize people to sell. Yes, I understand this mainly benefits existing homeowners, but if the goal is to have more inventory come on the market as soon as possible, that would certainly do it. But then again, what do I know? I'm just a dude making videos in a half-converted garage, and I have no idea what I'm talking about. So let me know what you think down below in the comment section. I will...
Someone says, second home, really? How does this help first-time home buyers? That's a good question.
do my best to read and to reply to as many...
I don't know. His suggestions kind of like, they didn't really stick to me. I mean, the Trump ones are stupid. Come on. Build on federal lands, cut regulations, and cut energy savings. That's not going to help anybody. You know, maybe it'll drop prices and, you know, if they come to effect in the short term, but in the long term, less regulations means you're going to, you know, if your house floods or you catches on fire, you're going to pay that back when a disaster happens, or the energy savings that you would have saved, you're now not going to save. It's all a bunch of bullshit. The second New Deal from FDR has the answers. Maybe that's true. All right, folks, I've been streaming for a while now. 3 hours. I guess it's not that long for your typical stream, but for me, it's a lot. I think I'm going to sign off for the night. I should be back tomorrow. I like to stream during the day tomorrow, maybe around noon. So if you want to watch, I'd much appreciate that. Don't forget to, you know, if you have friends, you know, places that want to watch a streamer, why don't you suggest my channel? That'd be great. Thank you all so much. Good night.